Hello. How's it going?
Going good. Well, I've been a little stressed about
For sure, yeah.
and I've been working hard. I've been trying to get three different things going like at the same time. I was trying to get some indigenous myths that relate to the divine twins that is seen in Proto-Indo-European mythology. And Proto-Indo-European, for people that don't know, is like, basically Greek, Roman, German, French, English, Spanish.
Okay.
Russian, Polish. I mean, all that, even the Sweden and Norway and Denmark.
Right. It's lots.
Yeah. So all those mythologies are actually the same, or not same, but from a similar source. In a sense.
Right. Okay. They share a root kind of thing.
Correct. But actually, what the biggest thing I'm trying to show, of course, in all this is actually the biggest roots are, basically start in Siberia and North China and go to basically the Middle East. Those two places really much is where like most of the myths come from.
Okay.
Those, two main places where, to me, Turkey or the Middle East area is kind of where paganism begins. And from there, it goes into Europe and goes back to Siberia. So anyways, we're going to talk about mounds. And this also relates to pyramids and stuff. And so the thing that I sent you, which I'm going to make into a blog, I just been too busy. Because like I said, I was doing one of the divine twins. I was doing one on Spider Woman, which is I'm doing several pieces of art for. And then I did art for this one relating to, I don't even know how to pronounce the name, some deity, Nadaka or something.
Okay.
She is actually a mound of corpses.
Oh, okay.
They're stone corpses, so like
interesting.
Stone? So a pile of stones. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, so let's go ahead and open up the thing I sent you.
Yep.
So I want to get through this whole thing. So if we have to go faster, on the pictures especially, we will.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, anybody that wants to know in depth, I have information about all this stuff, like blogs almost for every picture.
Right.
Certainly links for every picture that explains or information about it in the blogs. So yeah, but that's not what this is. This is really trying to get you the big picture of how all this stuff relates and then why it's reasonable to think this.
Okay.
In a mythological way, not in an ancient aliens, space, people, not in a white people circumnavigated the earth and left no evidence.
Right. And not in the mythology is real and here's why it all connects it. This is like an actual archaeological view of it.
Well, right. So, mine's more than archaeological, just so people understand.
Right.
My perspective is multimodality, is what I would really call it. Because I do, as you know, I care about multiple things. So I'll just list a few so people grasp like how I think when I look for stuff. I look for DNA. I look for cultures that relate to the DNA. I look for artifacts that relate to those cultures. And I see if there's any diffusion in, out, where, and what DNAs are migrating, and then diffusions that are happening when they do that. Okay. I'm looking for when pottery moves, when textiles move and clothing. I'm looking for when animals move. So I've tracked what bulls do, what pigs do, what chickens do, not because I really care about all this because it's animals, but this helps me know what's happening and then why it's happening.
Right. It's all pieces of the bigger picture, right?
Right. And so that's also why I care about languages, which I talk about. And then there's mythologies that are often connected to languages and often why people do things like build pyramids and mounds and whatever.
Right.
And so anyways, to understand that it's not just archaeology. I absolutely have looked at tons, or I bought $100 or more than $150 or almost $200 maybe books on archaeology. I mean, legitimate. I don't like people like, well, did you read The Horse to whatever? Is it a normal like trade publication? Then no. Right. No, I have not read it. If it is like something that only a scholar would read, yes, I might have read it.
Yeah.
Just so you know,
how many copies were sold? 6? Then I probably read
it. Now Corey gets it. Exactly. I don't buy books because it's comfortable. One book was like 1,500 pages and it was uncomfortable to hold. I thought, who the dumb fuck that did this and said, hey, this is a great, but this needs to be 3 books. What the fuck?
Why is this only 1 book?
Anyway,
yeah.
But I was just saying, but my point is, when I do DNA, as you know, I look at every single step, every single thing, and the big amounts, and who's got the big amounts, and what cultures they have, and how. Anyways, so because all that to me matters, because then we can understand the big picture,
right?
And that is why I believe that I'm able to see all this stuff and show you all this stuff, how it connects, where other people wouldn't even know what to say or be amazed that I know all this. But it's because I have this humongous worldview, in a sense.
Yeah.
But as we know, why does Damien have that worldview? Is it because of capitalism and I had some greed? Is Damien someone who just loves to learn? Not really. So, no. What it really is anarchism.
Yeah.
It's that I see the entire earth as equal. How could I not then learn it all?
Yeah.
I mean, where do I stop, Corey? Where's not me?
That's just it. That's
right?
the question.
Where do I stop? I have to think. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't justify it with my anarchism. Looking at history, I cannot justify not learning all the languages.
Yeah.
I couldn't justify not learning all the DNA. I couldn't justify leaving out a landmass with humans because they all matter to me. I'm just saying, once you get my perspective, you get, oh, well, that is why I have like an insane amount of knowledge on the whole world, is because as an anarchist, of course, it all matters to me.
Right. Where, like you say, like, where are you supposed to stop? Where is the line where it's like, okay, the stuff after this isn't important anymore?
Right? That culture don't need to learn.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
See, does that sound like an anarchist? No. An anarchist looking at history goes, wow, look at all this, Anyways, let's go to the thing.
Sure. Okay. So the first line is, I guess this is our title as well. My thoughts on the origin of the Mound Builders of Americas, mainly C, Y DNA in the Mounds of North America, and mainly Q, Y DNA in the Mounds of South America, and their seeming connections to mounds all over the world.
Right. You hear Graham Hancock, not R.
Right.
Especially not R female. Not actually, well, the only thing Dolmens, I think, did kind of move with female, that was X.
Right.
Again, Graham Hancock, not R.
Yeah. Yeah. Then we've got an image. Looks like a pencil.
I should pull it up real quick because I'm not looking at it. No, I wasn't.
It says it's an archaeological reconstruction.
This is basically like the Mississippian culture. These are a bunch of mounds. I just wanted you to see. Look at how these dirt mounds actually are not just mounds of dirt, right, Corey?
Right. Yeah.
Right. You think they are just mounds of dirt when literally every one of them has like temples and houses on top?
Right.
How the fuck do you think this is just dirt or trash?
Yeah. Yeah, it almost looks like, I mean, maybe I'm almost looks like to me that because it's near a river, right?
Right.
And they raise their houses up on these mounds. It's like has a function to it, right?
Well, I think it has. I agree with you. That's the thing is, I think it might have multiple functions. But one of them I know is they probably like that the water might go up because then it can be floating in a sense. And it'll be like the Mound of Creation. Floating in water.
Yeah.
So
it participates multiple ways.
Well, I'm just saying, if it did that, that wouldn't be the end of the world, I think. But I don't think actually that they did. I think actually the water's low enough that it's not a threat. Let's look at the size of the people. That's a lot of hill.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, but I like that you were thinking, but I don't. That's not. But even if it did, I would still say, well, the water being around it still would not be the end of the world.
Right.
Because like in Florida, they do all these mounds like that, and they have water in between, almost like Venice. Anyways.
Okay.
Or might have been something kind of like that. But a lot of it actually, believe it or not, was like humongous flat areas of all just shell they put down to build like gigantic, causeway things. It's crazy.
Right.
Anyways, keep reading.
Okay. So I see mounds and always think, is it a chiefdom or a king/queen? Mound builders. Many pre-Columbian cultures in North America were collectively termed mound builders, but the term has no formal meaning. It does not refer to specific people or archaeological culture, but refers to the characteristic mound earthworks that indigenous peoples erected for an extended period of more than 5,000 years. The mound builder cultures span the period of roughly 3500 BCE, the construction of Watts and Brake, to the 16th century CE, including the Archaic period Horse Island, Woodland period, Kalasahatchee, Adena and Hopewell cultures, and Mississippian period.
Okay, so the Adena, the Hopewell, and the Mississippian are all considered the heart of the mound builders, okay?
Okay.
And every one of these has cDNA.
Okay.
And they shouldn't, because in a sense, cDNA is the name, which should be in Alaska and, Canada. How the hell is it on the Pacific side?
Okay.
How the hell is it the Midwest? Well, but I think it actually was there maybe 5,000 to 6,000 years ago, or maybe 3,000 something, because it's possible that about 3,200 years ago, from the Pacific coast comes the Algonquin languages into what is now, I guess it's Ontario. I'm not that good from Canada, but Ontario and Michigan, I think, or some area over there.
Oh, yep.
In Ohio. Anyways,
right by there.
Yeah, the Great Lakes. So it went all the way from, the Pacific coast, like Seattle, in a sense, or Portland, Oregon, or something, and all the way to now. Exactly, this is what they don't know. They don't know exactly when they did that. The language, the proto-language, starts 7,000 years ago, and then sometime, maybe 5,000 to 3,000, they start to go, or they don't know exactly, but anyways, my point is they almost get there a little bit before the Adena. So I actually think that maybe, and this is very important too. We'll get into the thing about later. I mean, not in this video that much, but in another whole video on it. We're going to do the spider grandmother and explain. See, why this is important to understand is the spider, in a sense, is up in the Dane or the Pacific, Northwest. The Algonquin all have it, and they take it to the Midwest. And then the Midwest gives it to Ohio, and those people, the Adena mound builders, the first, culture that did it, instead of just randomly, the culture did it in chieftains and stuff. And then they get bigger and become Hopewell and are almost down to Texas. And then they become even bigger and they become Mississippian, and they have super chieftains, which really is just a king. It's just that ethnocentrically or whatever, Europeans didn't want to call them kings. Here's what's really interesting. I don't remember exactly, so I don't quote it, but I watched a thing on it. And they were saying that, I think it's someplace in the Northeast probably. And it was the tribes in the Northeast, I believe, something like that, that when the first people, came there, they just called them kings.
Okay.
But after America took over, and wanted it to be a thing, they didn't want to call, because then they have to respect them, right? They have to look at them as an equal. So anyway, so I think that, just to make a comment, so I do think that when you get to a certain point, it's pretty stupid when they themselves have several chieftains under them, and then they have chieftains under them, and then they have headmen or whatever, or of little villages under them. So it's this humongous hierarchy, like a king.
Yeah, that sounds like a king.
And everyone's like, yeah, that's just a super chieftain.
A super chieftain.
No.
What's the difference between a super chieftain and a king then?
Racism. You guessed it, Corey. There's something rotten in that apple.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, that's my opinion. How about that?
Fair enough.
I don't know, but it certainly sounds like racism to me. Or it could have just been colonialism or state, because state loves to fucking lie about the bullshit they do and make it sound like they did nothing wrong, and how dare you not forgive them or whatever, but they won't forgive us.
Yeah.
Keep going.
All right. So geographically, the cultures were present in the region of the Great Lakes, the Ohio River Valley, Florida, and the Mississippi River Valley, and its tributary waters. The first mound building was an early marker of political and social complexity among the cultures in the eastern United States. Watson Brake in Louisiana, constructed around about 3500 BCE during the Middle Archaic period, is the oldest known and dated mound complex in North America. It is one of 11 mound complexes from this period found in the lower Mississippi Valley. These cultures generally had developed hierarchical societies that had an elite. These commanded hundreds or even thousands of workers to dig up tons of earth with the hand tools available, move the soil long distances, and finally, workers to create the shape with layers of soil as directed by the builders. However, early mounds found in Louisiana preceded such cultures and were products of hunter-gatherer cultures. Radiocarbon dating has an established age.
The reason they say that is because they see these mound builders, Adena, Hopewell, and Mississippian, to be agricultural.
Oh, okay.
Just so you know. But
interesting.
You don't have to be agricultural to make mounds or pyramids. So
right, yeah. So it's not a prerequisite. So
yeah, okay.
Radiocarbon dating has established the age of the earliest archaic mound complex in southeastern Louisiana. One of the two Monte Sano site mounds excavated in 1967 before being destroyed for new construction at Baton Rouge was dated at 6022 BP, plus or minus 140 years. Researchers at the time thought that such hunter-gatherer societies were not organizationally capable of this type of construction. It has since been dated as about 6500 BP or 4500 BCE, although not all agree. Watson Brake is located in the floodplain of the Ouachita River near Monroe in Louisiana, securely dated to around 5,400 years ago or around 3,500 BCE in the Middle Archaic period. It consists of a formation of 11 mounds from 3 feet, 0.91 meters, to 25 feet, 7.6 meters tall, connected by ridges to form an oval nearly 900 feet or 270 meters across. In the Americas,
that's a little bit long, huh?
Yeah, that's pretty long. Yeah.
900 feet.
Yeah, that's a pretty long one. 270 meters is not, it's about a eighth of a mile, something like that. A little bit over an eighth of a mile.
But imagine making a mound that's an eighth of a mile.
Yeah, no, that's huge.
Just to get perspective when you're thinking of, well, it's a mound. You're just thinking like it's a little, no.
No, it's like this massive, massive construction. Yeah. It's maybe not a city block in a big city, but it's roughly a city block here. That's about what that would be.
And I do think that even though these were chieftains, I do think these still did not act exactly the way as capitalistic in a sense as like Europe and China and some other places were. But they were trading money. Well, I think it's off the top of my head. I think it's wampum or something that's shell beads that actually are considered to be money.
Oh, okay.
Or whatever. They trade it as money. In fact, I think even they were trading even when the colonists got here. Maybe. Anyways, I read a thing about money before. But anyways, the point as I'm saying is that's why to me, people that as you know, I think capitalism is about 7,000 years old. I think it relates to the rise of clans and elite authority, which we're reading right now, which is the remnants of. Because 7,000 years, these are 5,000 or 4,000 or 3,000. Well, hell yeah, that's way after what I consider, almost like World War Zero, because that's when clans went out and forced everyone to, be under statism in a sense.
Right.
You want to be by yourself and fuck you die or whatever. I'll take your shit. This new thing of or constantly ownership of land. See, before 7,000, there's not really a lot of evidence anywhere of a really land ownership.
Right.
disputes or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's really after that point, because you see hereditary, like, and domination and, accumulation of wealth
Mhm,
and
mhm.
elite status and a wealth status imbalance. And
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that's the same thing that I meant by the beginning. When I see any mound, burial mound of any kind, whether it's a pyramid, a kurgan, a dolmen, a shell mound, all these things are about elites,
Uh-huh.
a culture of hierarchy. So whenever I see it, I still think it's cool to see this stuff, but all it does remind me when I see it is that's a culture of hierarchy. That is a
Right.
culture
Right.
of inequality.
Yep, for sure. In the Americas, the building of complex earthwork mounds started at an early date, well before the pyramids of Egypt were constructed. Watson Brake was being constructed nearly 2,000 years before the better-known Poverty Point, and the building continued for 500 years. Middle Archaic.
Corey, how long did it take? So, wait a minute. So Graham Hancock says people came and gave shit, and it just explosion of stuff. How long did it take? 500 years?
Yeah, well, the building continued for 500 years. Yeah. That's a long time. It didn't just explode, did it?
I'm going to throw a guess. There wasn't a transfer of technology. It was a very, very slow evolution.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely sounds like it.
Right?
Imagine if a construction project in your neighborhood took 500
years. 500 years. It's like, just stop for a second.
Yeah.
Think about Graham Hancock's bullshit of this spread and got everything on it. And then just think that it's the evidence shows. So that's why I like when he, well, how do you know you trust archaeologists? I don't know. Logic alone. 500 years. Does that sound like an explosion to you?
Yeah, that's right. That's amazing.
I know enough, as you know, you probably know enough now too, probably, but I know enough that Graham Hancock, it's not just that I trust archaeologists and I don't need to like believe them. I know stuff, and that is why I trust them.
Yeah.
Because they're saying what the stuff that I know, and then there's Graham Hancock saying, well, everything happened fast and I have no evidence and things are under the water and maybe we'll find them. And look at all these things. They all look similar. Pyramids. It has to be master race. I'm like, you're a master fool. What the fuck is wrong?
No kidding.
I know it's crazy. Like, I like to start with the facts with no opinion and say, what do the facts seem to express?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why I'm always seeming so accurate.
Yeah.
Because I don't like do Graham Hancock fantasy jumping or,
Yeah, that's right. You didn't start off saying, hey, all the world's religions came from this one thing. You're like, where do I start? Let's start learning about this.
Right. It's a good question. So that's a good question. Where did Damien start? Damien started at 3 million years ago. That's where I started. Right? Because that's the first time, 3.3 million years is the first time humans used stone tools. So that is where I started.
There we go.
Because once again, as an anarchist, what part of humanity can I leave looking out?
Yeah, no, that's right.
I mean, if I really want to understand, because so it's not just, like I said, once again, I never did this because I just needed to know. I did want to know because I wasn't sure if everyone was fucking lying. And so I did want to know. But the reason that I've done all this is so everyone else can know. And the biggest thing I really care is that I want people to be liberated. I want people to be enlightened. I believe that there's only two outcomes to me of all the stuff I know. And that is that you feel humble that it's just humans and that, wow, we need to help each other. That would be my, thing, because you realize this is just culture. Why are you fighting or hating people? It's just culture. It's like hating your color hat or something. It's literally stupid.
Although I know people don't like this color.
But you get what I'm trying to say. It's just, literally, it's not, as an axiologist, that's a non-issue. It's just a opinion. What I mean by opinion is It has no value to it. It's just your thinking.
Yeah,
You like this food or not that food or
Exactly.
soda. I mean, it literally okay. You whatever.
Yeah, it's like arguments over which flavor of ice cream is the best.
There you go.
Like
it's
it's
not
pretty pointless.
Yeah, it's pointless. Like because you're still going to say, "Well, I have the right to like it," and they'll say, "Well, true," and I like something else. You're like, "Well, yeah." So I mean, this is dumb.
Yeah.
It's really dumb. You get it, right? It's dumb. So, I feel like, or if you want to believe it, right? If you want all the stuff I've learned, then what it would mean is the only shit that was ever true was maybe animism. That all this is just added textual fantasy in a sense.
Developed culture heaped on top of the original
idea.
Yeah.
Right. The idea that things are all connected, and since animism, the things are all connected, and that everything is in a sense has a spirit or an essence or whatever, like us, like it's alive.
Yeah.
And that we're supposed to work in harmony. I mean, that's really not that bad of a, I mean,
no, it's actually pretty good.
I can work with that.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Wouldn't really, if actually, I wouldn't even write a blog about it. I'd be like, okay, cool, you go do you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying. So all this other stuff is just added on textual culture, really.
Yeah.
Anyways, so
for sure.
Let's keep going.
Okay, all right. Middle Archaic mound construction seems to have ceased about 2800 BCE. Scholars have not ascertained the reason, but it may have been because of changes in river patterns or other environmental factors. With the 1990s dating of Watson Brake and similar complexes, scholars established that pre-agricultural, pre-ceramic American societies could organize to accomplish complex construction during extended periods, invalidating scholars' traditional ideas of archaic society.
Pause for a second. Isn't it crazy that you have to impress people that indigenous people weren't stupid?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you just hear the racism layered in that shit, or cultural, superiority or some bullshit.
Yeah, it's wild, eh?
Of course they can do things. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's right.
I did send you, let's watch that. Speaking of, we're talking about primitive. I did send you a video of a person building a thing. It's not very long. We just started, but I want to watch this real quick to show you primitive. Do you remember? I'll try to look and see what time I'm scrolling. I know I send you so much shit. But I mean, it's not because I'm a dick, because I'm trying to educate,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of.
It's all context. It's usually all context for stuff we're going to talk about. So
that's also true. Yes, I don't try.
Oh, here it is.
Overload
primitive technology, woven bark fiber.
Okay. Yes.
Bring that up.
Oh, I just want to watch it real quick just to show people. This is what some people. In fact, the archaeologists were mad that I posted it because it said primitive. I said yes, I don't agree with the term primitive, and then he said, "Well, you should say early." Well, it's their video, not mine.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
I would never call my video that. Yes, you're right. And I totally agree with you. In fact, I'm going to put it in my blog that you thought that, but.
Yeah, that's right. We're on the same page here.
We're on the same page, dude. I don't think. Look at this idiot when he shows you. This is not primitive. I don't think I would have intuitively gone, yeah, I'm going to do that.
Right, eh?
Go ahead and watch it. I mean, it blows my mind. Yeah, real primitive.
Yeah, eh?
No. So he's using Stone Age tool technology. So he's not cheating.
Right.
I don't know why he's doing it barefoot, but
guess he's not worried about slivers or anything.
Yeah. See, look at that.
Wow, eh?
I put a rock on the end of the thing, and he makes it. It's like a drill or spindle thing. Look at that. Like, oh, they wouldn't be able to spin things and figure it out. Like, I'm watching him spin shit pretty fucking easily, actually.
No kidding. That's amazing.
Like, fuck your bullshit thinking that, they couldn't possibly do that. You know what? In the Pacific Northwest, they take this and turn it into blankets and clothes. Wild.
Wow.
Like, yeah, so much for your primitive bullshit. Yeah. Because I think it's because the people are not very ingenuitive, whatever, so they think, how could it be done? No one could do that's impossible. And here's a guy with a rock showing you a couple sticks. Going, oh, yeah, watch this.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. I got it. Yeah.
You're like, I want this guy in Survivor. He's making a loom. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Primitive people couldn't do that. You're like going, I don't think you know what they actually could do. Right? Is that not crazy?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, primitive people. They're not primitive, dumbass. Simple is not the same as primitive.
Right, yeah.
See, I don't think I would have thought of all that.
For sure.
But see, when you think about like my thing about weaving we're going to do, this goes back to all these cultures of the world have these weaving stories. And these spiders, even Mesopotamia and Egypt have spider women. So it's just like the Americas. Almost like all the myths go together or something, Of course they do.
Yeah.
It's called religion. All the myths go together, right? See? You get it? Yeah. It's this new invention. We call it religion.
This is incredible.
What?
This is incredible.
But that's what I was saying. Seeing is believing, right, Corey? People are like, you can't do it. Primitive people couldn't have done that with just rocks and sticks. Like, I don't think you really grasp how amazing they were with rocks and sticks.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Well, it's not like they had rope. Yes, they did. They've had rope for 40, 30 years, 1,000 years.
Right, yeah, they made rope. That's how it worked.
Look at that.
No, that's awesome.
Isn't that just wild? That was bark.
The thing is, I mean, it's hard for us to wrap our head around now because we're so used to everything being so fast.
Yes.
But this takes time and effort.
It does.
You can't just say, oh, well, they couldn't have done that. No, they put in the time and the effort and they did it.
Right? The labor, as we always talk about.
That's right.
Now, if he sells this, shouldn't he get his labor value?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Look, he made 2 of them.
That's pretty awesome.
All right, we can get out of it. I just wanted you to, because my it's ended anyways. But because I felt like it's so hard for me to try to get through to people. Yes, you can trust archaeologists. Well, primitive people can't do. Dude, you don't even know what primitive people could do.
Yeah, that's right.
Make that judgment.
Yeah.
Right? You're talking from fucking ignorance.
Yeah.
So, but on this show, we try hard to break you of that ignorance. So let's go back to the.
Okay.
Don't you feel more informed and less ignorant?
Oh, for sure. That's amazing stuff.
Right?
It's like those you see those videos where the guys, 2 guys or whatever, they build an entire house out of clay and they do all this stuff and you're like, what the fuck?
Yes.
Where did they know how to do that? How did they know how to do that?
Because people are smart. And
Yeah.
guess what? Capitalism doesn't have to make people smart. I'm smart, and it's not capitalism that's driving me doing things.
That's right. Yeah. I actually just encountered a comment about this recently, and I hate people attributing the ingenuity of humanity
right
to
fucking
capitalist innovation. Like, get the fuck out of here. People do this shit for a variety of reasons, and it's not because some dude is taking the profits off of our backs. But
I try to have sympathy though, because I understand, like me, but now you know a lot of the things I know. Now when I say, oh, I know a lot, that is true. Other people think, oh, he's just talking, bluster. No, I do know a fucking lot.
Yeah, that's right. You spent the time and effort to learn the things.
2006.
So, yeah.
And just think, for most of the time, I wasn't working. I was just doing this.
Right.
And so I've had hours and hours and hours and hours and days and years and, doing stuff. Anyways. But also my goal was never like Graham Hancock to just make something that's, because really my book, when it comes out, is actually the most sensational thing to hit religion ever, like in the history of ever. Yeah. Ever. Right.
Yeah.
So sure. It has the thing of in the future to be the most famous book on religion ever. Because I literally explain shit that everyone else has been fantasizing or questioning about.
Yeah.
So, anyways, let's get out. Did we finish the mound builders? If not, let's go down.
Okay.
I'm done with that. Let's go to the next, because we need to go fast. There's so much stuff.
Yeah.
The next thing is a picture, right? And this has to do with the people that were after the Mississippian mound builders. So when they say those people went away, Corey, did they really go away?
No, they did not.
Right. So when capitalism dies, do humans just disappear?
No.
So when there's no more kings, whose servant will I be? Right.
Right.
I might as well just die then. What's that?
I might as well just die then.
Why live if I can't support Elon Musk?
Oh, fuck, eh?
So, yeah. So, guess what? Even when a powerful kingdom dies, the people, that's why I always think it's so funny when they go, wow, and the people were still there. What the fuck? Do you really believe that when the kingdom dies, the people are all dead?
Yeah, so when we were talking about like ancient Sumerian stuff, and like they were battling each other, and this guy would take over this region and this guy would take over that region and whatnot, and you go like, so but the people stayed the same.
Or relatively the same. But you get my point. It's so crazy that people look at things and they see it only in elite status. They don't even think about like the actual people. Wow.
No, that's right. That's why, it's important that we always point out, like, the people were still there, and no, the king didn't do that. The worker did that.
Right. And so when the workers left, they still liked the mounds.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Anyway, so because it has to do with culture at that point. So this right here is showing you this thing, right? So they call that thing their place of creation or Mound of Creation.
Right.
That's what they call it. The Choctaw Nation. Anyway, but as you see, it actually was part of the Southeastern Ceremonial Complex, which was a similar religion. And as you notice, it's just a little bit big. You see that?
Yeah, in that one picture, it looks like it's like about the same size as Texas, really, but way over to the side.
Right. Well, it's Florida, it's Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Ohio, Indiana.
Yeah.
Illinois.
It takes up a big space. Yeah.
Probably maybe some of Canada, tiny little bit. Anyway, so and then they have myths and stuff that goes to it, but I just wanted to show they didn't change, completely. They still have some of these similar ideas.
Right.
And they also had this red staff they put down, or supposedly it stood by itself, and that's how they knew it was the center of the world.
Ah, okay.
Yep. And that mound was already there. This is another thing. That was actually, I don't remember now whose mound it was, but that was not their mound.
Oh,
it's not a Choctaw mound. Someone else's mound, but they're like, yeah, that's where we came from. Well, that's sure. The mound. That mound, even though all the other mounds around, that one, just that one, that's the Mound of Creation. Which is interesting. But anyways, I'm just showing you that things evolve.
You got to pick one.
What's that?
You got to pick one.
Right. Well, so in that red pole he has, his medicine man with red pole, I think that's the Axis Mundi. Axis Mundi, what the next thing Damien thinks, right?
Yeah, that's the tree of the world kind of idea.
You read it. It says Damien. Yeah, you're gonna read it. Go read it.
Damien thinks the Mound of Creation mythology, Axis Mundi, is a myth reason for mounds/pyramids.
Right. So my thing is not saying that I think that one people did everything or even one idea.
Right.
It's that similar mythologies, because it's not even the same mythology. It's similar, very similar. And by the way, we're going to do one video too, or maybe a few videos, because it's probably too much of a subject. No, I'll just do one. People can read the blog. But I want to do lots of stuff.
Yeah.
But it was a comparative mythology, because I want us to just hit the different ones that people know. That's the other thing too, is people, especially what's weird, is atheists, right? Atheists who certainly think that they're the best about religion know a lot. And I'm like, have you studied comparative mythology? Like, no. Like, really? Because that actually tells you like how things are the same. Here's this crazy thought. People have already done work. You don't have to do. Why the fuck is look? What would you try to reinvent the wheel when people have already done this since, I don't know, 1700s or 1800s? Have been working on trying to do this. So, I mean, this is not a new subject. Yeah. Seeing that things were similar. In fact, even with the Romans and Greeks would see stuff and go, wow, that kind of seems like ours. Yeah. How observant of you.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm just saying, I want to get into that subject because I feel like, atheists think, oh, I know, you don't know jack shit. Because if you want to know this cliff note, why would you not want to start with the cliff note? Just go read about comparative mythology. You'll know about all the religions of the world and how they connect. Isn't that easier way to debunk it than trying to debunk each one separately?
Right.
Well,
yep, for sure.
Just trying to give a hint and clue that that's the better way to go. But I know. Why start the cliff notes, Corey? Trudge through it yourself because ego or something?
Do it the hard way.
Yeah. So, really. So the next picture is a mound in water, like a mound of creation coming out of the water. So this is the thought to me is the mound can be male or female, but often it's male, and the water is almost always female. And I told you the water is the older myth, and the water relates to snakes and turtles and frogs. So when you see things like that, generally those are considered of the earth and of like the earth mother. Snakes are important in lizards because they go in holes, which is hole in the ground. Because if you go back up again to that picture of the Choctaw, they have a belief about that hole, right? It's the cave, like the cave of the humans, the first two humans came out of, or something. Something like that. So my point is, so the understanding that about things going inside the earth, see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Or coming out of the earth is a big deal. Now let's go to so you see it in the water, and one's a shell mound, earth mound. I'm just showing multiple ones that they allowed to kind of look like they're flooded.
Right.
So I'm not like making this up. So I was saying it too about if some of them are that, it could also be that they prefer it that way. Because it goes back to, I think, what they're doing. It's about creation, right? The Mound of Creation, right? Emerges out of water or surrounded by water.
For sure.
Well, I think that relates to this next thing, which is actually all the different theories of what the earth looked like and how it was floating.
Okay, yeah.
Once you understand that, then it makes more sense. Something in water. Actually, all of them are talking about the same or similar thing.
Right.
Because if you see here's a bunch of theories about flat earth or whatever. The Chinese had a round water or universe, but a square earth. Square earth is important because that's how you can get the square pyramids, right?
Right.
Anyways, so if you notice, though, they all avowed mountains are mounds, right? You have the Chinese, they have a square mound with a house on top or a mound on top. Yep. Then you have the Egyptians, which have mountain beliefs. And, when you're in the flatlands, one person goes, well, Damien, you need to understand Egyptians in the flatland. I'm like, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? I know Egypt from like freaking 60,000 years ago. And you said, I need to learn more about Egypt. You need to read my blog. I have one big Egypt. because 60 is when it kind of starts. Good stuff starts to kind of happen. People moving around, but not much. It's really about 40 to 35. 35 is a like rock star time.
Okay.
Anyway, in Egypt. But anyway, so I made a blog 40,000 to 5,000 of Egypt, so people can, I don't know, learn the whole history, since everybody seems to care so much about Egypt or the pyramids, or maybe they just like conspiracy theories and they don't even care about Egypt, or pyramids, or anything like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because the truth is complicated. Just Corey knows it's not easy, right, Corey?
Yeah, that's right.
Once you start to get it, it's similar. So you're like, oh, okay. If you hear something talk about twins or duality or a male and female, like yin and yang, all that's really the same as duality. If you hear things about the three, the Trinity, it's big important. It's the moon as a crescent, the moon is a full moon, the moon is a crescent, or it's the sun in the morning and the sun in the evening and sun in the noon. So all this stuff in the sky father, which is the sun usually, and the earth mother, which, can be animals or whatever, like a spider. Anyways. But I mean, so you start to realize that even though at first, when you first try to study this stuff, it feels like it's impossible. It's too many variations.
Yeah.
That's a lie.
But it's actually very similar. Yeah.
It's just that you have to listen carefully to the theme and not use our biases. Just like when they talk about floods, the reason they have floods, let's go back to the little picture of all the what they think the earth looked like.
Right.
They're all like tons of water. Tell me which one doesn't have water.
Yeah, no, they all have.
Right. They all have water.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Chinese is very similar to the Greeks, to have a flat thing with a building on it, right?
Right.
A little temple or a mound that you construct. Yep. Anyways, so go ahead and read what the different ones are.
Sure. So we've got the ancient Chinese people believed the sky is a round dome surrounding a flat, square-shaped earth. The ocean goes all around the earth. The sun travels in a big tilted circle. At night, the sun is not under the earth, but rather on the side of the earth. The ancient Egyptians believed the earth is flat. The sky is like a flat plate, supported at 4 places by mountains. The sun is carried across the sky in a boat from east to west. At night, the sun is carried back to the east through the underworld. In ancient India, it was believed that the earth is a circular disk surrounded by the ocean. In the center of the world is a great mountain. The sun goes around the mountain once a day. In the evening, the sun goes behind the western side of the mountain. It travels behind the mountain at night and comes out on the eastern side in the morning. Most ancient Greeks believed that the earth floated in the ocean like a cork in water. One person named Anaximander thought that the earth was a cylinder with a rounded top floating in the air. The sky surrounded the earth, and beyond the sky was a region of fire. The sun, moon, and stars were holes in the sky through which the fire could be seen.
So, in other words, if you believe these religions, you also believe their nonsense about how the earth looked.
Right.
Right. And the Bible also it mentions the 4 corners of the earth.
Right.
So earth was square.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, maybe like China? Since we know it was floating in water? Some of this stuff can sound like it's so different, but once you grasp that thing floating in water literally is what you see at Lake Baikal.
Right.
It's literally what they think the world is. It represents the world. It really, just like when the people do the lingam in Hinduism, they have the lingam, which is supposed to be kind of like a dick, and then the vagina, the yoni. But the dick comes out of the yoni, which seems bizarre until you realize this is more symbolic, like all this other stuff. The yoni is flat like water, and we know what they do. They pour water, and it goes out, around the mound.
Yeah.
Could it? Like, you can't prove it. I don't have to prove it. It literally is explaining it.
Right.
So I'm just saying. So you start to see that these things are different and not different.
Yeah. Yeah. They're variations on a theme.
There we go. So, and it's like the flat Earth mythology is in a sense a square base, a mound, or a pyramid for a pyramid. So, anyways, in the next picture, so go ahead and read the order of what we're going to explain, or what I feel like we need to know.
Okay, so mound invention order: Shell Mounds, then Dolmens, Kurgan, Earth Mounds, and Pyramid. Mythology order: Primordial Waters, Cosmic Egg, Earth Diver, Mound of Creation, and then Axis Mundi, or World Mountain / World Tree.
Right, and the problem with the mythology though is I'm giving it this way. I'm pretty sure about the first one, and I'm not as sure about the other ones. It could be Primordial Waters, Axis Mundi, maybe Mound of Creation, or maybe Cosmic Egg and Earth Diver, and then Mound of Creation. I don't know. I'm less confident about exactly, because it's harder to see where exactly that stuff is happening to feel confident. It's easier with the mounds because they're there, they have time, they're accurate. It's a lot harder, and I would have to do more work, and I'm probably not going to, because my point is not to figure out every single detail, but to figure out the big picture so people can stop feeling like they should trust this stuff. This isn't trustable. And also, too, I want to make you Teflon. You understand the truth in a way that's so detailed and accurately supported that when people like Graham Hancock or any other the new fool that comes up and says some bullshit, you can just go, that is wrong. Here's why.
Right. You can just see through it, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, nobody knows. And you're like, do you know what you're talking about? Really?
Yeah, like at this point, after our discussions, I really don't like when people say nobody knows.
Right?
I'm like, so depending on what you're talking about, somebody knows.
Yeah. See, you feel more confident now, right?
Yeah.
You would almost assume the opposite. You would be like, no, I'm pretty sure someone knows.
Yeah, that's right. This has been looked at, I'm pretty sure.
And wouldn't you say that you've been totally amazed by some of the things that I've shown you?
Oh, for sure. Explained? Yeah. Yeah, some of it's like, a lot of it is stuff that like I had no relation to at all. So I was like, it's pretty amazing stuff.
Right. And you see that I'm not so wrong as people think that. So this also the problem is, so the pseudo people say, oh, look, everything looks the same. It must be connected. Well, it is connected, but not directly like they're thinking.
Right. Yeah. You got to be careful with that.
Isn't like the people taught them building exactly. But they had all these mythology. And see, this is so funny though. Look at what they'll do for Jesus or Muhammad or Allah or what, or Buddha or whatever the fuck. Look at these people will spend their entire lives studying one book. Yeah. And then wonder how ancients could care about religion so much to make all of their architecture religion.
Right. Except, didn't you just spend your whole life studying one book?
Right. See, you get what I'm saying. So you get my point. They will literally do what it takes to believe that a regular human would actually do that. Yeah. They live the life that proves that. Religion people do that all the time. Blows me away. They'll deny sex. They'll deny everything. They won't have even kids or something. Or they feel they have to have multiple kids, so they can't live their life. They still have. So anyway, my point is, and yet they'll look at the past and go, I don't know how anyone could just desire to build a pyramid. I'm like, religion. And they're like, well, that's not good enough excuse. Like, yes, it is. Of course it is. Like half the world does everything they do because of religion. What are you talking about?
How do you explain like the Vatican if you don't think that people are dedicated to their religion?
You get what I'm saying? If you slow down and just reason through the thought, I don't see how you can get to it's unreasonable.
Yeah, no, it's very reasonable. Yeah,
do their whole fucking life for religion. Anyways, so let's keep going because I don't want to keep beating out a point about this.
Yeah, fair.
We have plenty of other stuff to do. So read the next thing. Next picture.
So the next picture says, Damien, shell mounds are trash. How can you think they relate with mounds like pyramids? Meanwhile, the picture is a shell mound with a house on it, and it's all very nice and
like a pyramid. And there's a person, I don't know if it's a guy, but a person doing a conch shell horn, and they have a totem up, and there's a king, and he has another royal with them.
Yeah. So that's
On
trash,
something that
right?
looks a lot like a small pyramid. I mean,
For sure. Yeah.
what I don't know what else you would call that exactly, but a pyramid platform mound, or half pyramid mound or something. Anyways,
Yeah.
but so my point is that I'm not wrong. You just are ignorant to what these things are.
Right. Yeah.
Because once you start seeing what these things are, I don't think that you would think that my things are ignorant in any kind of way.
Right. Yeah.
Anyways, let's keep going.
Okay. Shell
Next.
middens, shell mounds, or shell rings are not just trash as was believed. Rather, they can be monumental architecture. Even some were used as temples.
Right, and then this shows the distribution and time distribution of all the different shell mounds, and showing once again there's a time connection.
Right. Okay.
So, anyways, and we already showed where they basically, I think, start in the Middle East, and then they actually go to the Lake Baikal in different areas, and that also at the same time relates to other mounds, including the dolmens spreading. Let's go to the next picture.
Okay.
So this is the Pacific Northwest, and see where that white triangle is in the middle?
Yep.
What does that say?
Bear Cove site, 8,200 years ago, shell midden / shell mound.
Right, and what's the next one say?
The one down below that is Glenrose Cannery site with evidence of the old Cordilleran period, which is between 5,000 and 9,000 years old.
Right, and then below it says shell mounds in this area. So this entire area, that red orange ring. So Seattle and all like Canada and whatever, like right there, part of Vancouver Island.
Okay.
Go ahead and read what it says.
Shell middens / shell mounds are the predominant site type, forming the archaeological record of the southern Strait of Georgia region for the last 5,000 years.
Right. So a lot of shell mounds. So it's not just happening, in one area, as we already looked at, and it definitely is happening in this area, which you see the first part of the picture relates to the languages. I'm explaining which languages and then how they're broken up into like groupings. These three in the top, the Tisselman, Haida, and Tlingit, these are all in a sense symbol. They have almost identical religions, and they all take slaves, and they all do raiding and armor, and they all have clans and things. Even the clan names are almost similar, even though they're actually not the same languages.
Right.
But here's the thing, Corey knows. You don't have to have the same language if you speak the same religious theme. If we both go like mound and stuff, we know what we're talking about because it's really kind of the same religion in a sense. So we're doing, so I think but I think mainly the Tlingit is one that probably inspired most of it. All these even there's different names, everything comes to me from the Tlingit. If you notice too, that's not crazy because Tlingit is Athabascan. And see that green line that goes all the way down to the bottom in Oregon or Northern California?
Yep.
That's Athabascan.
Right.
So not crazy to think they went down there and inspired all these cultures.
Yeah.
No. And then actually they go down in Northern California and then they interact with the people in the Central California, which is where the Aztec language came from 5,000 years ago, when they showed up. And then war starts 5,000 years ago. Oh, yeah, because they showed up. Where it was, I think it's 1 in 7 people, maybe it's 1 in 14, can't remember, have wounds from violence.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And they thought that it had to do with climate. Here's the thing they didn't understand. Yes, it may be a reason that the people from the north went down, maybe because of climate. But this reminds me, like we talked about last time, about saying that, well, pyramids are just a good way to stack rocks. That there's nothing else connecting them. Well, okay, that may be a good way to stack rocks. That really doesn't mean that no more answers can be of why you do something,
Yeah, that's right. Something can be functional and have a cultural theme to it.
Exactly. And that's why I told you, I don't feel like that my stuff, like see Graham Hackett or other people are trying to prove archaeologists wrong. I'm not trying to prove anybody wrong or anybody right, actually. So the reason I like archaeologists because the stuff that I've figured out on my own matches what they say. So I think they're amazing.
Yeah.
Not because I'm, just I feel that they're superior to me or better to me, because I don't feel that actually. I feel like I'm kind of equal to them, not like on the science probably side, but at understanding all this. Oh, I feel pretty skilled.
Yeah. Like part of the, I guess, community of it kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. So I was just saying, so another thing too is that there probably is archaeologists who do think, or maybe have thought, even like I said, doesn't mean that they tell other people.
Right. Yeah, it may not be their direct line of
and people listen to Graham Hancock write millions. John Hoops only has 7,000 or something, so he doesn't have. And Flint Dibble, who's more famous, has I think 12,000 or something.
Right.
But I mean, still not millions, right? Even if it whatever. Like, Graham Hancock's got millions. How in the fuck? It is horseshit. It's like I said, it doesn't even just logic. Just Corey's skepticism is all it really ever needed to debunk Graham Hancock.
Right.
Because he says this great thing that I know a skeptic would go, "What the fuck?" When you say, "I have no evidence," they're like, "What the fuck?"
Done. So why am I believing anything you're saying?
No. So I mean, I that's why I never say that I dislike skeptics. Right. The one thing I've ever said is I don't like how skeptics try to say I have to be a skeptic or act like they're better than me.
Right.
And I'm like,
obviously
you haven't been welcome to my world of reason.
That's something they're doing in their own ideology.
Yeah. Like, when I first started, I thought we were going to be friends, like skeptics and rationalists. Yeah, we should get along just fine. We both want truth in a sense. So we're good on that. But everybody's like, "Oh, well, you have to be skeptical." I'm like, "Well, you don't. So don't tell that or say that to me, at least."
Right.
That's not how I process things.
Yeah. And that is like how I process things, but that doesn't make me.
I'm not making a judgment. Right? I'm just saying, don't say how you do or you should do.
Yeah.
Relates to what I can do.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's like so many things, right? Where people they're like, well, I'm like this, so everybody has to do it like this.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not how everybody has to do it.
No. And everybody probably won't. And here's the other thing too. What's so great to me about a socialist as a capitalist mindset, where everyone's at competition, if we work together like brilliant people.
Yeah.
Right. And here's the problem. No one ever knew I was brilliant when I was a truck driver.
Right. Yeah.
I truck drive for 14 years. Did anyone think I was fucking brilliant?
Did anybody even consider?
And if I told them I was a truck driver, would you have thought I was brilliant?
The assumption would be no.
Right? Obviously. I'm a big dude, 6 foot, looks like, probably doesn't, and I don't act like I really care. I don't try to use big words and stuff. So, even though I know stuff, that's not me.
Yeah.
So I don't try to be a fucking fake.
Yeah. I deal with smart people who don't have a higher level education all the time. Like that's my work life, right? And I don't have a higher education. So to me, it makes perfect sense that a person who with a working class background can apply their intelligence in this kind of way and come up with new answers.
Right. You know how too, it's people think, if they're watching this, they think, "Oh, you're not famous in these videos." But I am famous on the academic.
Yeah.
So when people actually care about evidence, then I am famous.
Right.
But these fuckers that want Fantasyland, I guess I can't offer anything.
Yeah, well, that's just it.
Oh, sorry. Well, we're just going to read the stuff and then understand it in a naturalistic way. We're not going to read it and think, "Oh, things are flying." Let's go on to the next one.
All right, so now we're on to prehistoric Indian mounds in Florida, culture, religion, and power.
And you notice too, it's not just one small area.
No, it's kind of the whole zone there.
Several of them, they're not exactly the same, but would you say they're that different, Corey?
No, these are variations on a theme.
Right. And they said when they came to the Americas, a lot of the mounds back then used to have platforms and what a causeway. What do they call that? ramps. That's what it was.
Oh, yep.
They have, as these all do, right?
Yep.
That's right. Because it's a shared idea. So,
yeah.
But the DNA, as we know, doesn't match R. So it's no fucking way that happened.
You mean it wasn't the Graham Hancock thing?
No, absolutely not. So, and then the one where it says the Deptford period, you notice how there's white and there's like kind of golden. It's all in a sense related, but it's not exactly two cultures. I mean, it's not exactly one culture in a sense.
Ah, okay.
But you see that once again, Graham, people spread ideas because they find new or interesting things, or they like to do things, or people have power, or also some people go to New York because they're amazed by it and they like all that extra whatever. You're like out in the woods. These people are doing extra. They got mounds and stuff.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Is people go to amusement parks. All I was trying to say is that we do things because we like excitement.
Yep.
So I can see where this would be totally unique. So Graham Hancock doesn't take magicians of the gods or any bullshit. It's just
no, that's right. Silliness.
Plus, I always thought it was silly too because he thinks things that are so ridiculous. Like we said before, the only thing I agree with these people are shamanism. Although he doesn't know what shamanism is, it seems. And no, thinking taking peyote makes you understand shamanism. It doesn't.
That's a pretty popular theme among like your kind of Joe Rogan-esque type guys. They all like to take ayahuasca, and they all take and then it lifts them up into this new spiritual realm where they reaffirm their white supremacy, and suddenly they think, oh well, we were meant to rule the world. They talk about it in terms of, oh yes, we're all connected and whatnot in like a spiritual kind of like hippie-ish way, but then when they translate it into action, it translates into, or spreading other ideas, they translates into anti-science and pro, bigotry often.
Yeah, that's why I told you I didn't want to be on his channel. Not even to if Graham Hancock, told me to debate him. But then I told you, I thought about it, and I would just say I'm willing to go on to a channel like that as long as I can say that I just do not support this channel.
Yeah.
Or the people that you fucking come on here, or the ideas that you seem to hold yourself.
Yeah.
Your trans bigotry and bullshit.
Well, that's just it.
Exactly it. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I said it has nothing to do actually with debating Graham Hancock. It's that I don't want to be associated with fucking scum.
Yeah, that's right. I do my inherent or implicit endorsement is not allowed.
Well, and people will assume that. So
yeah, that's right.
The only way I would do it is if I could say that I, do not support it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you see, I support truth. And so I don't even like a little bit of bullshit. I'm not okay with fuck that. I want truth.
Yeah, that's right.
Our fucking work hours and hours and years to fucking find out what the hell is true. Like I said, that's why I appreciate archaeologists. They did the same thing. They did it in a more science way than I did, obviously.
Right.
But still reading through their literature and then understanding it in the big picture. Because once again, they do the archaeology. So did I. I looked at all the archaeology stuff they have. I didn't do, go to sites or stuff, but I read tons of books, tons of articles, tons of things. Thousands of articles and stuff about the past. And not like shit normal people would care to read or whatever. And Wikipedia, it's read shitloads, like, half, to my brain burned.
Yeah.
Anyways, so the next thing is the Cahokia Mound, which is kind of relates to the Mississippian culture. This is one of called Monk's Mound, I think. Okay. And this had human sacrifice. And it just this is, of course, after it's been degraded. I just drew a picture of it. Mm-hmm. But anyways, So let's go down to the next one. And this
Okay.
one has to do with the Axis Mundi center of the world. And
Right.
this is where I think it starts. But like I said, North China is real important too. China says they are the center of the Earth. But I think it might have started, though, actually, in the Altai Mountains. I think maybe R2 leaves the Altai Mountains going towards the Middle East, has to go through northwest China, picks up when it does in DNA, and that this is what I think. Either they had pottery, which it doesn't seem like that is possible, or that they got it early somehow, or they picked up pottery actually when they picked up the females and took them to the Middle East. Then they everywhere in the Middle East, and then Europe ends up with these females that do the pottery.
Right.
So something like that. Anyways, so my point is, did it come from China and it was just brought? That's another thing too. It's hard for me. Like I was saying about Proto-Indo-European, something comes from that. R2 does it. But R2 does go through North China and gets pottery maybe and gives the turtle beliefs from the Middle East and some of the ideas into China, because then they start doing turtles. So, anyways, as we talked about, I'm just saying this is all important. But I personally, I think it started with the Altai Mountains. QDNA starts in the mountains. And it's right next to the lake.
Right.
But the mountains are very sacred. And if you notice, too, they're called the Golden Mountains of the Altai, just like that golden pyramid top.
Right.
The sun just lights up the, like this art. See, I worked harder on this art, right? Some of it to make it look cool, right?
Yep.
Like the
it looks good.
I mean, sometimes I don't give a shit. I can actually do a lot better. I'm doing this for free. Do you really want to think I would have taken 2 weeks of my work for free?
Yeah.
Just to make a picture look more pretty? It's like, I know people said, why don't you do them all good if you could do it good? I'm like, because they take fucking weeks.
Yeah, that's right. Like this, it's like, why am I putting all this effort into something just for you to shit all over it and expect me to do something better?
I know, do something better. Or they go, Damien, what have you done? What have I done? Oh, obviously, you looked at any of my stuff. I've done a fucking ton.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm trying to show also that the reason why it's reasonable to think also it could be the center, because it literally is the center of two sides of the steppe, the west steppe and the east steppe. In the center is the mountains. So saying that that's the center of the earth literally kind of makes sense.
Yep. For sure.
In a animistic way, as I'm talking about.
Yeah, and specifically at the time when it would have been originated, right? Like the idea.
And you see where it says the first Kurgan is not that far from the mountain, right? It says 7,000-year-old Kurgan.
Yep.
Right, and then it went more to the west, and then the Samara culture gets it. Now, but also look, the totem pole was in there. 11,600. See the totem pole? It's where it says it's the Kurgan, right? And just go west of the Kurgan. There's a white thing.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I know 11,600.
There you go.
Yep.
I know there's a lot of stuff, but I'm trying to show you so you can see connections.
Yeah.
So then you see that there's also that's a spirit man. His chest is hollow, and they put like little stickers and stuff in there.
Right.
And they also have ones with their arms out, which I think releases soul travel. And that's 5,000 years old. Okay, then go up in the corner where it says Altai, the right corner.
Yep.
Read what that little man, I think, is the sky god. Read what that says.
This Sima Turbino phenomenon burial sites with similar bronze artifacts dated between 4,320 to 3,720 years ago.
Right. And they go basically from Lake Baikal to Finland in the Baltic states. And DNA, just so you know, in DNA from the Hongshan culture, you see it down there on the right-hand side? Hongshan.
Yep.
That is 8,000 or 6,700, whatever.
Yeah.
So that they have in DNA. That right there, that culture is where the Turkic, Mongolic, and Japanese languages come from.
Right.
Right at that spot. And if you look above it, there's a pyramid mound. They had more than one pyramid, actually, and a temple and a goddess thing. Anyways, but we're caring about pyramids and mounds. So this is more actually like a dirt mound because it doesn't really have anything, you know? And they have a regular one and a step one of dirt. But anyways, I'm just saying, so they had pyramids. And it's 5,000 years old.
Right.
Or a big Kurgan, you know, whatever, or a big dirt mound like the United States or whatever, platform mound or something. But anyways, I'm just showing you that all this stuff is this, and then the under that, right, it says Altai. It's just showing how magical these mountains look.
Right.
You can see where they would like think that, you know, and then also the Altai has the rocks that look like I ask ancestors, gods,
right,
nature totems, like they think. In other words, they make totems because nature did. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yep.
They think that was the mountain god, maybe. You see what I'm saying? You got. I know it's hard, but you got to think very animistically.
Right.
Just like there's that cloud. That is an actual cloud. Is it a dragon, bird, a god? Could you see where that
yeah, you throw all those colors in there. Yeah, it's going to look like something magical, right? Like it
looks magical to me, and I don't even believe in magic. I'm like, that is fucking awesome looking.
Yeah, that's right.
And also, it's hard to draw to make it look awesome because it's a fucking cloud and it's hard as fuck. and Corey goes, Damien, no one cares. No,
it's not good enough. What are you doing?
Why are they all like this, Damien? Why don't you fucking spend years on every single one?
That's right.
Then if you look at the middle, right, there's 4 little tiny things. Those are actually showing you the entire step from one side to the other, from Ukraine all the way to Mongolia. Showing you it's just fucking flat.
Yeah, no kidding. So like the mountain would be like the thing, right?
See, now you're getting it, right? See, Corey gets it. If there's nothing, right, a big ocean of grass, and then all of a sudden in the middle is these like 14,000-foot mountains or whatever. I don't remember how high it is, but
pretty big.
It would be the insanely impressive.
Yeah, that's right. I live in Saskatchewan where it's very flat. So I am used to seeing flat. And if there was a mountain sticking up in the middle, we would absolutely worship it.
Right. So you get what I'm trying to say. That's actually what's going on. So I'm saying you can see. Now I get the Mound of Creation. Yeah, here's this gigantic mountain.
Yeah.
Group of mountains. And guess what? Here's also funny. The highest one, Kanaka Mountain, it literally looks like a square pyramid.
Right.
Almost. I mean, not 100%, but I mean, enough that you look at it and go, oh, I think that could relate to why they believe in the square pyramids and the square earth and holy shit. Yeah. So that's why, to me, when you start to understand that it's about mountains and Axis Mundi, which is the center mountain sort of, or a mound of creation, and you start, and it's got to be flat, and then here's something humongous. Well, yeah, literally you're explaining the Golden Mountains flat, and then, oh my God. So anyways, just to give you an idea. And then also they go on top of the mountain, and what do? They build these things called oboe, which are in a sense another rock mound of creation. Right. And then they put a Axis Mundi in it.
Right.
Anyways, and then also there's the thing that says Nordic Bronze Age in Denmark, and they put a tree in it. Right. On top of the Mound of Creation. Which, if you go next to it, the Yardle, right? What does that say? I know I'm saying it wrong. Yagdrail. Like I told you, understanding all this, I'd have to be able to pronounce this stuff. No. But it was good to read what it says, Corey. Norse mythology.
Norse mythology.
Where it says, Yargirl, it's a tree on top of a mountain. It's on the
so it's like
that is the understanding of the world. That lower part is like hell or whatever, then the upper part is so you get to understand the flat, right? See how it's flat?
Yep.
The flat earth. And then there's a mound in the earth in the center, or a mountain in the center of all the flat, like the Golden Mountains. And then on top of that mountain, there's a tree, and that's actually goes into heaven.
Right.
And that's holding up the dome of heaven. I mean, I don't believe this, obviously. I'm just
obviously.
But I'm saying, do you see how they building a mound with a stick on it is literally copying this shit?
For sure.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So it says Norse mythology, eternal tree in the middle of the world. Yggdrasil basically means Odin's horse.
Right. You get it. And then also, if you go down right at the bottom corner, there's Egyptian mythology, which is the sun and the mountains. And
right.
Then, and where the sun goes in the night, and see how there's water all around it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to read where it says steppe route. Just read that stuff.
Okay. The steppe route centers on the North Asian steppes and connects Eastern Europe to northeastern China. The ancient Egyptians saw mountains as a symbol of what is real, and it also relates to their cosmic mythology beliefs. The Egyptian necropolis was typically located in the mountainous desert, and so the mountain symbol, Dju, was strongly associated with the concepts of the tomb and of the afterlife.
Right. So see, I'm not like Graham Hancock trying to put things together that don't belong. They think that.
Yeah.
They think it relates to a mountain. They think it also relates to a tomb. They say it also relates to the afterlife. I'm just showing you, see, look.
Yeah. To them, the mountain symbol was an image of the universal mountain, whose two peaks were believed to hold up the sky. The god of mummification, an epithet for Anubis, he who is upon his mountain. Hathor, while in the form of a cow, emerges from the side of the western mountain.
Corey's going, no, Damien's wrong. There's no evidence. there's no evidence.
There's no mountains in here at all. What are you talking about?
Mountains and mounds in a flatland, marsh. Yeah.
Yeah. It says Sima Torino phenomenon weapons contain tin and bronze that originated from the Altai Mountains region around central Mongolia and southern Siberia.
Oh, so all the metal found from Finland to China all relates to only basically the Altai Mountains that I say is the center of the universe.
Yeah.
Huh.
Further, Sima Turbino discoveries point more specifically to the southeastern portions of the Altai and Xinjiang, China.
Right, which I told you before. Did I not, before you read that, say that it is southern Siberia and northern China that's all part of the same religion? Because here's the clue, Corey. It is not that people were going from Siberia to China. There was no China. There was no Siberia. It probably almost is the same fucking people.
Yeah, that's right.
But I hate to break people's border bubble, but
yeah, that's right. Their
borders are bullshit.
Yeah. They're lines on a map. So when maps didn't exist, the lines didn't exist.
Well, I'm just trying to people understand, because I know, I don't know why, but I know it's hard to think outside statism. But when they think of like a area in China, and I say Siberia, and even though they're probably, a couple hundred miles away from each other, you see them as different. But it's not reality.
Yeah. No, that's right. A couple hundred miles doesn't mean much.
What I'm trying to say is that, and they're doing the similar stuff, or the religions are all kind of running similar. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
But so let's go ahead and read the Axis Mundi, because once again, I want you to understand this, because once you understand the big principles, that's what I'm trying to help. Then you grasp everything else is only replaying the same song. Same old song.
Yeah, so Axis Mundi. In astronomy, Axis Mundi is the Latin term for the axis of the Earth between the celestial poles. In a geocentric coordinate system, this is the axis of rotation of the celestial sphere. Consequently, in ancient Greco-Roman astronomy, the axis mundi is the axis of rotation of the planetary spheres, with the classical geocentric model of the cosmos. In 20th century comparative mythology, the term axis mundi, also called the cosmic axis, world pillar, and the center of the world or world tree, has been greatly extended to refer to any mythological concept representing the connection between heaven and earth, or the higher and lower realms.
Right, which also people we're going to read later in another video, do the world egg, because that actually also relates to two halves, right? You crack the egg open, you have the earth in the middle, you have the heavens above and hell below, and what's in the middle.
Okay.
You start to, I know, like I said, at first all this seems like it's crazy, but it's actually because it still floats in the water. But isn't that what those earth is doing, and all those, even the flat earths, yeah, it's I really think this stuff is a lot closer than people think. I mean, yes, people have made their own version, but it's like saying that, you know, what every different 40,000 kinds of Christian are somehow unique things. Like, no, not really.
Yeah, it's like I mean, if you're relating it to something simple, you could say like so a cover of a song isn't the original, but it's still the same song.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. When you start to, like me, you start to hear these certain words or themes, like the Mound of Creation. He's the mound. He's the holy mound. You're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. The center of the universe.
You're tree. Like, oh, shit. Center of the universe, the tree, the pole. He's the mountain, the pole, the tree. Like, you know, that's like the Native Americans, right? They walk and they put the red pole and it stands up by itself. And I'm like, oh, my God. And there's like, this is the center. This is where we're from. I'm like, of course it is.
Yeah, that's right.
We get it. Axis Mundi. I get it. Well, the shame, that's how the shamans get to the afterlife and talk to the spirits. I get it.
For sure. Just like they did over there. And just like they did over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So we've got, what does it say here? Mircea Eliade introduced the concept in the 1950s. Axis Mundi closely relates to the mythological concept of the omphalos, or navel of the world, or cosmos. Items adduced as examples of the Axis Mundi by comparative mythologists include plants, notably a tree, but also other types of plants, such as vine or stalk, a mountain, a column of smoke or fire, a product of human manufacture, such as a staff, a tower, a ladder, a staircase, a maypole, a cross, a steeple, a rope, a totem pole, a pillar, or a spire.
Corey's like, okay, so Damien is trying to show me that all you need to know of all that is one thing: Axis Mundi.
Right.
Once you see how it's actually simpler to make the whole world simpler.
Yeah.
Because you start to realize, oh, they do. Just like I said, once you grasp the Mound of Creation, that literally explains fuck tons of stuff.
For sure. Yeah.
Or the Axis Mundi, you realize, oh shit, mountains and trees are the same. But if you look at that one picture, well, the world is part of the tree and the mountain,
right?
And the trees on top of the mountain. So you realize, well, it's not different stuff. It's kind of
all together.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So it's proximity to heaven may carry implications that are chiefly religious. Pagoda, temple, mount, minaret, church, or secular, obelisk, lighthouse, rocket, skyscraper. The image appears in religious and secular contexts. The Axis Mundi symbol may be found in cultures utilizing shamanic practices or animist belief systems, in major world religions, and in technologically advanced urban centers, like the Washington Monument.
Right.
In Mircea Eliade's opinion, every microcosm, every inhabited region has a center. That is to say, a place that is sacred above all.
So, just because I believe that some of his ideas matches what it looks like on the evidence, because I looked at a lot of evidence, does not mean I agree with all that last part. That's just what the fuck.
Yeah,
that's meaningless. All I care about, because remember, he makes it almost sound like he agrees that they're correct about centers of the universe. They're not correct. There's no way they could be correct.
Right. Not
It's
every
a
place has
complete
the center of the universe.
misunderstanding of science, right?
Yeah, that's right. They believe that it's the center of the universe.
Devastatingly misunderstanding of science.
Yeah, that's right.
So, anyways, my point is, because if you're going to say anything, it would be the poles only, right? It would be the North Pole,
that's
South
right.
Pole. So, science would say that's fucking nonsense. So that's the other thing, part two. The problem is some of the comparative religion is people that like religion.
Right,
Whereas
right.
an atheist listening and an anarchist listening to it going, what? And they're like, well, that makes sense. Like, no, it does not.
It doesn't. It makes sense that they believed it, but it doesn't make sense.
Right, you get that. That's what I'm saying. And I always wanted to not straw man them. I want to know what is true.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's more helpful too. Then you started going, oh, then you can figure out connections. Because once you know it's true, then you start to go, oh shit, well, these things are all kind of doing the same thing. And it's possible that some ideas could be done separately. But when you start realizing how many ideas are the same, right, and how they're really kind of singing the same old song, you start to go, uh-oh. Yeah. But like I said, my theory as a group, as a total or whatever, is that religion is culture.
That's it. Like I'm thinking like maybe it isn't necessarily like that people who built the CN Tower or the tallest building in New York or whatever, maybe they weren't literally thinking about the Axis Mundi, but maybe there's still some cultural ideas ingrained in their head.
I don't disagree with that. But once again, I'm reasonable. You say a reasonable theory, I don't disagree. But when you say unreasonable, then anyway,
when you just assert that every place has a place that is sacred above all,
no, that's not helpful.
No, that's not helpful.
And even if they did, could you say that it still goes back to a cultural expression that they're just mimicking even without understanding? Yes.
Right.
And if you say that, well, then it's not that there's some universal truth or some bullshit. It's just culture. Again, like I said.
Again, yeah. It's just like it always is. It's back to culture.
Yeah, it's back to culture. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so let's go to the next thing.
Okay. There's another picture. The frozen bubbles.
Yes. The frozen bubbles, and it look like little discs getting like born in the water, right? And even the ice, right, cracks into circles.
Right.
So you see like they are seeing a theme. Plus that hill looks like it's floating in water. And so does the other hill. And this other thing, like spike thing sticking out, it looks crazy in the cracked ice.
Yep.
You notice I did take a little more time on this art. Well, because I feel sometimes it's necessary to do it more, because I think once I kind of capture that, it gives it that wonder that I know that you need to experience, because then you can see how they would look at that with wonder.
Yeah.
So, and I think that these natural rocks that by the ice and wind get pushed up bizarrely out of the thing. My personal thought is that could be the Mound of Creation.
It could easily be part of it, yeah.
Because a lot of times they're a flat thing, right, in the water.
Right.
These are like flat rocks.
Pretty amazing, actually. Like, that's so cool.
Oh, it's amazingly cool. Even the crack, how the square, like look at these squares. Could they not say that the square shard means the earth is square?
Yep, for sure.
Isn't nature showing us? I'm just believing nature.
Yep.
I'm just making a comment. So you start to see, if you think animistically, how they could just look at the natural world, which I think is what they were doing, and then start making up mythology.
Yeah.
The good thing is when we understand that now, we can stop believing in mythology just because someone saw cool stuff. Go ahead and read this. People reach Lake Baikal.
Yeah. People reached Lake Baikal, Siberia around 25,000 years ago. They, to Damien, were likely animistic shamanists who were also heavily totemistic as well. Being animistic thinkers, they likely viewed amazing things in nature as part of or related to something supernatural or spiritual, not just natural as explained by science. Spirit-filled a spirit being relates to or with it. It is a spirit being, or it is a supernatural or spiritual creature, or it is a great spirit, tutelary deity, goddess, or god. And from there comes mythology and faith in things not seen, but are believed to somehow relate to or interact with this real world that we do know exists. Both areas of Lake Baikal, one of the west side with ancient North Eurasian culture, and one on the east side with ancient Northeast Asian culture, later to become the ancient Northeast Asian culture. Areas are the connected areas that to Damien are the origin, ancestry, religion area for many mythologies and religious ideas of the world by means of a few migrations and many smaller ones leading to a distribution of religious ideas that, even though are vast in distance, are commonly related to and centering on Lake Baikal and its surrounding areas like the Amur region and the Altai Mountains region. To an animistic thinker, things are not just as they seem. They may have a spirit or spirit energy relates to them. To a totemistic thinker, things are not just as they seem. They may have a spirit or spirit energy relates to them. They may have religio-cultural importance. Lakes are often...
And what I mean by that, in a sense, is like when say a certain, like going back to the Mound of Creation for the Choctaw, their cultural thing is that mound is their literal origin. I think they actually own it, which is not common,
right,
for natives. I think they had to buy it, but I don't. I've learned so much. Sometimes it's really hard to.
Yeah, for sure.
Remember everything I've learned, but yeah, that in a sense is like, say, not just their Axis Mundi and all that, their origin and everything, but it's like a mythical creature in a sense, because it has this importance. Because what I mean by creatures, in a sense, is clan, right? It's the idea, an abstract idea outside of family. In a sense, but it's still almost like family. The clan idea.
Yeah. It's like a layer just past family kind of thing.
Yeah. So right, at least no matter how far, that's still the mentality, right? So it doesn't, and that's also, to me, when people think like, clans only cared about, say, your white skin or something like that, like the races. That's not true. Because they also had people with them, because like in Europe, speaking of which, our DNA hung out with I a lot, and I was darker at first. Probably eventually, by now it's maybe not, but
right,
just because intermingling for so fucking long. But for a while, that would have been more of a hunter-gatherers, because that DNA had been in Europe at least 14 to 20,000 years. I think maybe 14 or something. Anyways, I think it was in Germany by 14 or 12,000 iDNA.
Okay.
But anyway, so speaking of why it's important also, is I comes from the Georgian mountains, which is by Turkey, in Russia.
Right.
From there, goes through the Middle East. Graham Hancock doesn't go on a sailing trip. And then it goes into Europe. And I think on the way, it met the people in the Middle East who had eDNA, and eDNA is African, which probably had the dark skin. So that's also why, even though very light-skinned people show up, our DNA in the Middle East, and this is not now, so don't assume that what they look like, people look like now. I'm talking about a long time ago.
Right.
When like 17,000 or 20,000 years ago, or something. Even if they were lighter skinned, what they came up against was people that were completely black or very dark skin
right.
DNA. And so that J, H, and K, I were all there, and they even if they got, I think the Cossack Mountains gets like blonde hair and light skin alleles in the DNA. of a female with RB1.
Mm.
RB1A. Excuse me. RB1A, not just RB1. RB1A, and that's the one that Graham Hancock thinks went to the Americas or built all the things. Well, that one chick got dropped off there, and then the one that shows up actually in Lithuania, the Baltic states, near Finland and stuff. The one that goes over there, that's R1B.
Okay.
So it's a different. It's this similar, but like not the exact same. Because the other person went to a different place. Graham Hancock, everybody doesn't go everywhere.
Yeah.
Legal facts and limits. But anyway, so those are in the sense all the way straight across. So from basically almost Lake Baikal straight, which is southern Siberia, Mongolia, all the way till Finland.
Right.
That's where white people could have had possibly the earliest ones been.
Right.
Because the 11,000 to 14,000 years they're in the Baltic, area. And I think it's 9,000 the Baltic for sure has light skin. I mean, I think they probably have it before, but there might. So, here's another thing too. Some of for whatever reason, maybe they mixed along the way. Who knows? I don't know. But some of the people that get with blonde hair were darker skin, and some were lighter skin, because it wasn't like they only cared about the white race or some bullshit.
Right.
My point is, I'm saying, so people interact. I mean, you got 3,000 miles, 4,000 miles to travel. You're going to meet a few people in the time, and it's going to take usually 500 years, it said, to build a mound.
Yeah,
it's going to take, talking about time. It's going to take a while over there, and probably you're going to date someone on the way, and then your kids, and then their kids, and they're 10 generations later. Yeah, I mean, people are like thinking about how things happened and stuff. It's the Graham Hancock. Somebody went around and did everything.
It's
nothing shows that.
It's a very strange thing to say that there's these explosions of this or everything happened in a single generation, when you can trace the movement over generations, multiple thousands of years. You can track people moving across.
Right. And then like I was trying to explain, they even know what their color, skin, and eyes and everything.
Right.
So then the ones they're lighter skin, they go in, right? R goes in. It's not white, but it's lighter skin.
Right.
It goes in, and then the people were pretty black, and so they then leave pretty black. Right. Dark skin. So they go into and eventually becomes what people think Western hunter-gatherers Europe from 14,000 on, which is actually relates to epigravitans. But and this DNA going through all the way from Siberia all the way through. But when it goes up there, everyone's dark skinned, but because of that lighter stuff, they now have blue eyes, brilliant blue eyes. Dark skin, blue eyes. So all of Europe, England, all of that were originally dark skinned. So if you're not dark skinned and blue eyes, you're not an original European.
Right. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. That's how they're we're a proud white race and we're from Europe. And I'm like, well, original Europe was not white. So,
yeah.
Just saying. You mean that after you killed off all the indigenous and mated with them to the point that their DNA is diffused enough that it doesn't show up hardly. You mean that? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's keep going.
Okay.
So the next picture shows qDNA and cDNA that we talked about. Remember, in Q, I already told you, goes basically South America and Mesoamerica, 94%. And then C is in all the mounds in North America.
Yeah.
So, but you see that the fact that their religions are almost similar.
Right.
It's not a shocker when they came from almost the same fucking place.
Right. Yeah, they're just on the other side of the lake there.
Right. It's just the east side or the west side of Lake Baikal.
Yeah.
And there's a dragon there, right? They call it Shaman Rock or so whatever. and it resembles a dragon. That's just the rock, and it's right by the water. So it's literally looks like the dragon rock or dragons coming out of the water.
Yeah.
And that's real sacred to them. And that's why I say the Hongshan culture started making these, they call them pig dragons.
Right.
They had these weird noses. They couldn't figure out why they must have been a pig. I'm like, have you seen the dragon?
Right.
Rock? Because holy fuck, I think they were drawing it.
Yeah, almost for sure, right?
Right? Look at what it looks like. Keep the fuck out of here. That's the same bullshit right there.
Yeah,
it's literally curling up in a round ball, almost like what that's doing.
Yep.
And its face is weird, just like that thing. And the one even has ears like it, right?
Yep.
And has a sharper tail like it. They were making that more anatomically correct to the rock.
Right.
But anyways, I'm just yeah. And people were there from 30,000 to 25,000. Wouldn't they think that was amazing? If you're an animist?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, holy fuck, there's God of the water, right? It must be a dragon. Dragons and gods. Anyway, so the next picture is the Hongshan culture, and this shows how they were the ones really to work jade. And they're already doing elite status. Look at this person being bare. It looks almost like Mesoamerica, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because there's a connection, Same old song. Anyway, so then you see that it also that little picture shows the H, which is the Hongshan culture, and then how it became Korean by 5,500 years ago.
Okay.
Even though they try to say that Korean's not that old, I'm like, well, they were there.
Right.
So I don't know. I think it is. I'm going to go with the DNA and everything, the movements and stuff. I'm going to go with it. That's what happened.
Yeah, for sure.
Why would they go down there and then wait to get language? What? Especially when you came from a place that already had language? Yeah. Maybe what they're saying is it came down and then evolved later. I don't know. Anyways, so like I said, it has the step pyramid and it has structure, and it has the other kind of a tomb pyramid, like a Kurgan.
Right.
So they have like two different kinds, and then they also made this round rock thing.
Yeah. Eh?
Anyways, so and you notice too that all these different circle things. Well, if you look at the older ones, they just are round circles. They were even simpler, like bracelets or something. But anyways, it just shows evolution. I just wanted to show you that once again, things don't stay the same doesn't mean they're not related.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go down to the next thing, which is the Earth Diver myth. We've already talked about this before, and it also has the world tree and top of the mountains, right? Do you see that?
Yep.
It says Mississippi mound culture. And then there's a tree on top of, kind of like the one in the Nordic that has a tree on top of the mountain. And then you see where it's the Hopewell. They don't have the mound exactly. It's more of a flat thing on the water, which
right,
kind of like the Greeks or China.
Yeah, that's right.
But round. And it's still the axis Mundi. So, okay, still. And they think that the sun and the moon spin around the center of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a little bit different than the Mississippian. It's theirs is more like the egg. See how its layers are like an egg?
Right,
right. Inside? What do they call it? Those Russian egg things or whatever?
Or the Russian nesting dolls?
Yes. Right. You see, this is kind of like that, right? It says they're showing you it's different shells, right? Like an egg.
For sure.
So I'm just saying, so this goes to the point. So the Hopewell and the Mississippian both did mythology and mounds, but they didn't have the 100% exact same beliefs, right, Corey?
Right. Yeah.
But they still are kind of doing the same thing. So get the fuck out of here with it. They're not the same.
Yeah, they've got yeah, for sure. They both got the Axis Mundi. They both have the
water and the
mound
and the
water. Yeah. So
and the upper world and lower world and
yeah.
And then there's the one, but there's Lakota, I think, is where the woman falls through the sky after the Axis Mundi tree fell over and left a hole in the sky world, and so she fell through, and then the birds save her, and then the turtle decides he'll volunteer to put, I can't remember exactly, but put stuff on the back, and that becomes the Mound of Creation.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then the world turtle, which is more India, but if you notice, it's not really that different.
Right.
I mean, from it's not me, right? You see this too.
Well, yeah, like why is there turtles and mounds and all? Why are these all like sound pretty similar?
Right. And then they also build mounds and pyramids.
That's right.
And Kurgans and Dolmens and and small.
So it's not it's not just that their mythology is like kind of similar. They also do similar things because of it.
Oh, and I told you, Corey, I've not even gotten to all the ways their religions are similar. We're going to do that. Remember, we're going to break them all down, and then by the time you're going to be like, how could anyone believe this shit? Yeah, right. Corey, that's what I'm trying to say. What the fuck? Or how could you not see its culture? Holy shit, this is fucking culture.
Yeah.
I know it's complicated to some people. Corey's probably getting it more because he's read stuff. So go ahead and read the Earth Diver thing.
Sure. The Earth Diver is a common character in various traditional creation myths. In these stories, a supreme being usually sends an animal, most often a type of bird, but also crustaceans, insects, and fish in some narratives, into the primal waters to find bits of sand or mud with which to build habitable land. Axis Mundi mythology, cosmic axis, world pillar, center of the earth, mound/mountain of creation, or world/cosmic tree, or eagle and serpent tree. The world turtle, also called the cosmic turtle or the world-bearing turtle, is a mytheme of a giant turtle or tortoise supporting or containing the world. It occurs in Hindu mythology, Chinese mythology, and mythologies from some of the indigenous peoples of the Americas.
Pause for a second. And so would it be okay to say that maybe there's a relation?
Why not?
Well, I'm just saying, it's literally in all these things are doing the similar thing, and then I'm saying, and they're similar.
Yeah, like
literally evidence, right? They're literally doing similar things.
They're similar. They just are.
Like I said, once you start to hear it all, you start to go, okay, wait a minute. I'm getting this mound thing.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Chucalissa, Mississippian culture, mounds in Memphis. Art shows all the elements involved in the Path of Souls death journey, a widely held belief system among the mound builders of America. Interpretation of Southeastern native cosmology showing the tripartite division of the world. The axis mundi is depicted as a tree or post connecting the fire symbol of this world, the sun symbol of the upper world, and the swastika symbol of the lower world. It should be remembered that the Mississippian culture that built Cahokia may have considered a cedar tree or a striped cedar pole to be the symbol of the axis mundi, also called the cosmic axis, world pillar, the center of the world, or world tree. It has been greatly extended to refer to the mythological concept representing the connection between heaven and earth, or the higher and lower realms, the pillar connecting the above, middle, and below worlds, and around which the cosmos turns, an American Yggdrasil, Norse tree of life. Some work has gone into reconstructing the Woodhenge, and it is one of the sites around Cahokia that you can visit today. That's from solar calendar of Woodhenge in Cahokia, Native America, cities in the sky, Vulpine Outlaw.
Right. So I'm trying to show you, all the stuff is showing they're connected. It's just complicated because we think of it in a way. So go where it says, do we know what the symbols represent?
Okay. So do we know what the symbols represent? Yes. It's bit more than I'd want to post on Twix right now. It's showing the three-part universe, an upper, lower, and middle world, and the Milky Way is shown, as well as Orion, the hand constellation, Scorpius, the ruler of the underworld, and Cygnus, the judge. also the main powers of the upper and lower worlds. Gregory L. Little, E.D. Dr. Greg Little.
Yeah, and he did the Mound Builders Society book.
Yeah, Gregory Little is BA, MS in psychology.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going.
Okay.
So it says, according to the myth.
Sure. According to the myth about the origin of man recorded among the people of Eastern Europe and Siberia, the creator set a dog to guard the half-made human figures, but the antagonist bribed the guard and spoiled the creation, making humans vulnerable to disease. The creator told the dog to become the servant of man. Texts recorded in India, mostly among the Munda-speaking groups, the Dards of the Hindu Kush and Abkhazians, though partly similar to the northern Eurasian ones, do not share some important details. The antagonist is a horse. It tried to destroy man, but a dog drove it away. In Mongolian, more precisely the Oirat version, a cow acts instead of a horse. But in other respects, this variant is similar to the Akbasian ones. Negative associations related to the horse are rather widespread. In Europe and Central Asia, stories about the creation of man recorded in northern and southern Eurasia stemmed from the anthropogenic myth that was known to the Indo-Europeans of the Bronze Age. South Asian and the European Siberian zone also share other tales, in particular the Earth Diver myth. Their analysis opens possibilities for reconstructing the early mythology of the inhabitants of the Eurasian steppe.
Right, because we know things, or as you said, you assume someone might know.
Yeah, someone knows.
Yeah. Right. And so that's what I'm doing, is putting all this someone knows together. And then you start to see the picture of what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. No ancient aliens. Sorry. But I mean, this is, I think, cooler because then you actually know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you like facts, or
rather than pretending to know things.
Yeah. Or because this is what I feel like a lot of, I was saying before about atheists. A lot of atheists, even though I make these videos and stuff, they're not trying to use them as knowledge to go fight religion.
Yeah.
I mean, they still will. Well, what I think is, God started because of lightning. And I'm like, do you
it's
know?
Much.
But yeah. I feel like going, being nice, but also mean. Could you tell me which lightning gods that you're thinking of offhand?
Right. Were they the ones that came first, or were you talking about like Odin and
or Zeus?
Zeus,
or throwing the lightning bolts, right?
They're the ones that are a little bit more modern. Well, that's not the origin of religion.
Corey now knows that for sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Would you feel pretty confident to say that's not the origin?
Oh,
Things
for
didn't
sure.
just start at gods.
No, that's
no,
right.
Fuck no.
No, there was a lot before gods.
Oh, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I was just saying that it's crazy to me because atheists will spend more time saying, well, I think this, I think that, instead of doing what they say that religious people should do. Like, go read a book.
Yeah, go learn. Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm just making a comment that they'll talk some shit about religious. Okay, well, if you want to understand religion, believe it or not, there is some knowledge out there, but you're gonna have to read a few books.
Yeah, that's right. It takes a little work, unfortunately.
Yeah, even mine. That when I get done with it, it will be still. You're gonna have to go if you actually want to know stuff. I can't put it all in the book. You'll have to go read all the blogs and watch all the videos, and then you'll start to understand.
Yeah, because
it's going to be a lot of work.
That's right. Yeah. The book is going to have a lot, but
well, it's going to be the big picture that I'm giving you.
Yeah.
But instead of giving it to you by all the details, it'll be a lot more big picture and faster, easier to see the connections, but won't have evidence. I'll just say this did this, did this. But that's also why I already have blogs and I have videos that if you doubt anything, go look.
Right. Yeah. Go check them. Go read them. Go look at the sources. Look at the information that's there. Yeah.
Right. All right. So go ahead and read this as comparative mythology.
Yeah, sure. Since the term ancient North Eurasians refers to a genetic bridge of connected mating networks, scholars of comparative mythology have argued that they probably shared myths and beliefs that could be reconstructed via the comparison of stories attested within cultures that were not in contact for millennia and stretched from the Pontic, Caspian steppe to the American continent.
So in other words, Ukraine. When it says that, just think Ukraine to the Americas. Yeah, I wish that they would. And that's what I'm going to try to also do in my book is make it a lot easier, like a normal.
Right.
Not make them have to pull out a dictionary or a fucking atlas or some shit just to figure out what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, like it seems like every Wikipedia page and every book and every reference has a different way of saying the same things. So then, like, if you read one and you don't know what the other one says, and then you read that one and you think they're talking about different things, unless you know what both are talking about already.
True.
So,
well, but I mean, all this stuff I'm talking about and we have talked about, I'm sure to someone who has never watched any of my stuff probably could be hard to understand.
Yeah.
Or harder to understand. But I mean, I'm sure it's probably getting easier for you, right?
Yep. No, it comes slowly, but it comes. Yeah, for sure. The myth theme of the dog guarding the other world possibly stems from an older ancient North Eurasian belief, as is suggested by similar motifs found in Indo-European, Native American, and Siberian mythology. In Siouan, Algonquin, Iroquoian, is that right? And in Central and South American beliefs, a fierce guard dog was located in the Milky Way, perceived as the path of souls in the afterlife, and getting past it was a test. The Siberian Chukchi and Tungus believed in a guardian of the afterlife dog and a spirit dog that would absorb the dead man's soul and act as a guide in the afterlife. In Indo-European myths, the figure of the dog is embodied by Cerberus, Sarvara, and Garmer. In Zoroastrianism, two four-eyed dogs guard the bridge to the afterlife, called the Shivnat Bridge. Anthony and Brown note that it might be one of the oldest mythemes recoverable through comparative mythology. A second Canid series of beliefs, Canid related series of beliefs, myths, and rituals connected dogs with healing rather than death. For instance, ancient Near Eastern and Turkic Kipchak myths are prone to associate dogs with healing and generally categorize dogs as impure. A similar myth pattern is assumed for the Neolithic site of Botai in Kazakhstan, dated to 3500 BC, which might represent the dog as absorber of illness and guardian of the household against disease and evil. In Mesopotamia, the goddess Nintinuga, associated with healing, was accompanied or symbolized by dogs. Similar absorbent puppy healing and sacrifice rituals were practiced in Greece and Italy among the Hittites, again possibly influenced by Near Eastern.
And Hittites is in Turkey.
Okay.
So they're saying Greece and Italy, and then it should be also among the Hittites.
Ah, okay.
No. And it says, again, probably influenced by Near East traditions. Yeah. So once again, ideas are spreading around because it's fucking culture.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it's interesting to see, like, even just something as simple as the relationship to the dog, like how they, like, each have a kind of a variation on it, but there's always a dog involved, and there's always a dog kind of doing this or that sort of related to.
Right. Yeah. See, doesn't this help to see that it's really just culture?
For sure.
And my whole my book is going to be called "The Evolution of Religion and Removing the Rationale of Faith." You know, the tree of lies. So The tree of lies. And that's what I think is it starts from a place and it just branches out all the place. And then people think it's special.
Yeah.
So,
no.
All right. Well, we'll keep going.
Okay.
So then the next picture is about the world egg. All this has to do with that. And the deities either make the egg, come out of the egg, relate to the egg, and the snake, the egg,
Right.
I feel like the people understand it. Also, you could see it like the snake is in a sense wombing the egg.
Right.
Because it wrapping around would warm it in a sense, and warming the egg will make it hatch quicker. So the snake could eat the egg, eat the chick or whatever in a sense.
Right.
So you get my point. Anyways, but and it has the dragon, right? The Chinese dragon, which now in the water, which you're like, wait a minute, could that be the Lake Baikal thing again?
Right.
Oh, and then the egg floats in the middle of it? Wait a minute.
Yeah. Oh, that all looks, That's definitely the same as those from Hongshan region.
Right. See, Corey's getting it now. And guess another thing, Corey. Hongshan has some of the oldest feng shui.
Oh,
Hongshan was shaman. In fact, if you look at Chinese shamanism, you go look it up. Let's go do that real quick just so you can see. Go to Wikipedia and go to I think it's Chinese shamanism, because it says the Hongshan culture is where their Chinese shamanism comes from or whatever, or most of it does, which I think is cool because that's also where the mountains come from.
Yeah, I got Chinese shamanism,
and then it says alternatively called Wooism or Wu religion, shamanism.
Yep, I got it.
Go ahead and read that.
Okay, so Chinese shamanism, alternatively called Wooism, and shamanism, refers to the shamanic religious tradition of China. Its features are especially connected to the ancient Neolithic cultures, such as the Hongshan culture.
Right, that's going to close it. But you see, it literally relates to the stuff we're paying attention to, right?
Right.
So the people that built mounds could have been shamans.
Yep,
for sure. I agree with that. But they were also paganistic shamans, so they also had deities, and it was a big deal about deities. And shitloads of stuff was being done for deities, but they still were doing shamanism. Because it's not like it's an either or. That's what religion like now does, like organized religion, where it says you have to believe A, B, C, D, and F. And if you're not, you're a heretic. And they kick you the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? Kill you, ostracize you.
Yeah.
Change one thing. I remember one of my uncles got so pissed. I don't remember what group it was, but he said some group I didn't know. That's a kind of Christian or whatever. And he's like, oh, I don't remember what it was. Like, those whatever. They, think that the God's coming after. They're called post-tribulation. I'm a pre-tribulation person. I can't stand them. And I'm like, what does any of that even mean?
Yeah.
And why do you give a fuck that someone has this one little particular difference? Like, people, man.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Because the real thing is you're seeing, Corey, it's like everyone is arguing over these little differences, and Corey's looking back at all of it and going, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, they're really not that big of differences.
It's like a bunch of rock bands going, we invented rock, and you're like, but you didn't.
Yeah, in fact, you kind of all got the idea from the same place.
Right?
Yeah.
Now you're getting it, right? So it's well, it's similar, and that's what I'm trying to show you. And just like the thing, if you notice, the Egyptian ones, those are snakes and frog people,
right?
And then one bird. But so the snake and frog relate to what, Corey? The earth.
That's the
bird is the sky, right?
Right.
And snakes go into holes, but frogs don't, so they're different. Anyways, I'm just trying to show you got to pay attention to what they're doing. It's like this woman, right? She's holding that flute or smoke pipe right where it would be her vagina hole.
Yeah.
So there's symbolism. They're So that's why sometimes when things look sexual, it may not be only sexual.
Right.
Because we think of like it. That's what I was trying to say. Because some people, it's like some are, historians or archaeologists could say, "Oh, well, this is a sexual thing or whatever." Well, it may reference that, but they're not. They're in a sense, they're using it as a reference to explain something else. You get to my point? That's a better way to see it than
right.
A directly sexual thing, like even if it's a sex organ or something. Well, that's not really. They're not saying, "Oh, let's have sex." It's not like a brothel,
Right, like it means something.
It's religion.
Yeah.
So it's more. It's in other words, like when we try to explain mounds, I try to explain. Look, they're all the same, and I go, it's like a pyramid. Well, because that's a reference for you.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or whatever. Because if I say it's a Kurgan or a Dolmen, most people don't. What the hell's that?
Right. Without some kind of reference point.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything. So that's what I'm saying. So they're saying, oh, the Mound of Creation. Say, see, ancestors come from this thing that sticks out of my body. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So ancestors come from that. So it's the Mound of Creation. My dick is the Mound of Creation. But they're not being sexual. They're being reference.
Right. Yeah, because they wouldn't have had the same viewpoint on.
Right. They're not like
things
evangelical Christians.
Yeah, that's right. So they don't think of it as this impure fucking thing that you shouldn't talk about. They're just
exactly.
Of it's like
they know everybody understands, right?
That's right.
That's how I see it more. Is they know everyone understands what their dick and a vagina is or whatever.
Right.
So it's easy to say, well, now you get what I'm saying in a transcendent way.
Yeah.
And that's also what I think, because I've seen some archaeologists or historians talk about a lot of the figures in the Middle East, like Göbekli Tepe and whatever, are like holding their genitals or pointing to the male genitals, or phallus looking. Because sometimes it's like one has like a leopard skin, the head and the legs, but it almost looked like dick and balls again. So you see like this. Like, in other words, what I'm saying is, look at how the myths are. They are similar. You got to pay attention like that.
Right.
Not in the Graham Hancock way of just grabbing pictures and going, well, this looks similar. The reason I say things are similar because I can slow down and go every single little piece and can make it get there.
Right. Including like, why do we think they put this here? What is the stuff they did with that?
Right.
Yeah.
Because then I think that then you start to understand the whole complex. It's not just somebody piled a bunch of rocks up. There's a reason they did it. And they had to get manpower, and they got to have extra food. So you got to have slaves or laborers to get the food for the workers, if nothing else.
Yeah.
And then if the workers are working, someone's going to have to build them a shelter.
Yep.
Or you start what I'm saying. So you start to see you're going to need someone to organize something.
For
and you
sure.
start to understand that these things are usually authority. Like I said, hierarchy and stuff. Yeah. That's why I said I'd look at these. Everyone's like, oh, look at the pyramids. Like, I see hierarchy.
Well, and especially when you've got like bigger ones than, and smaller ones, and like some people didn't get any at all, and you go like,
well, see, exactly. It's not everyone got a pyramid. Put that next picture, and we'll try to. This is about dolmens, and this shows the X2 DNA.
Right. We talked about this one a few
already.
Videos.
So I'm not going to go in long because we already talked about this. I'm just showing you that. Once again, it just shows how everything relates to the Lake Baikal area, whether it comes or goes through it. So a lot of ideas are percolating in that thing. And that's why so many ideas seem similar. They either went or came from that. All right, let's go to the next one.
Okay.
So the next picture, we also talked about some before, right? Because this is about Kurgans.
Right.
So it should look familiar to you. And then once again, it shows the Kurgan start and goes over to the S culture, which is a Samara culture.
Right.
And they had the first proto-Kurgan at 7,000, and then the ideas go down, and eventually they get down to, the Middle East, both on the Sumerians and the Egyptians.
Yeah.
And so the reason why a lot of this stuff is similar is because it is.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah, that's right.
So I don't know. I don't think it's that. I guess that my stuff is not exciting enough. It's like the shocker that, oh, the people from the area did it.
Yeah, big shock, eh?
Or even if they came from the Siberia, they came different waves, different time with different ideas and did different things. And yeah.
Revelation. People did the things.
Yeah.
The people who lived there.
People did their own things. Amazing.
Yeah,
I know.
right.
I know I'm stepping out on a limb there, but
yeah, for sure.
All right, so go ahead and read 7,000-year-old.
Sure. 7,000-year-old Siberian warrior found in pre-Kurgan mound. More advanced than we supposed. Question mark. Buried with stone axe and horn-tipped arrow, ancient human remains have archaeologists reshaping their assumptions. In a first for Siberia, a burial mound dating to the New Stone Age has been unearthed in Novosibirsk region. In the mound were 9 people, including women and children, discovered by archaeologists and students from Kemerovo State University. In the lower layer, they discovered a man with a stone axe and a horn-tipped arrow, said the university's press service. It is a fair assumption to say, as this fact proves, that the burial mounds emerged much earlier than the Bronze Age, in Neolithic times.
And the reason that's important, because some people try to say to me, Damien, these things can't be connected because Kurgans only started like 4,000 years ago.
But they did not.
And I'm like, yeah, but that's not right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but we have facts. So, and the facts actually speak something else. Let's go down to the next thing. Because I'm trying to help you get all this, Corey, as you know, or everybody actually get it, not just Corey, but yeah. Because I feel like once you get all this, then it's not. There's nothing mysterious.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
You're like, and that's why we have no fans.
Because they like them. Yeah, that's right. It's not mysterious or
even though I literally explained how everything is connected, the fantasy they all wanted to know about, I give it too much real answers.
Yeah, that's the trouble.
And as you see, like I said, it is on the west side of the mountains, and then it goes over and then makes the Kurgan culture. Ta-da! So then to read the next thing, Samara culture.
Okay, Samara culture with 7,000-year-old pre-Kurgan mounds. The Samara culture is an Neolithic culture of the early 5th millennium BCE at the Samara Bend region of the Middle Volga, at the northern edge of the steppe zone. The later stages of the Samara culture are contemporaneous with its successor culture in the region, the early Kvalinsk culture, 4,700 to 3,800 BCE, or 6,700.
Right, just so you know, there's 3 cultures. Mm-hmm. So the one that they know for sure was Indo-European, that for sure, is the Yeniseian, or whatever it is. Okay, so but just before that is that Kirklik culture, whatever it's called. I'm terrible to remember the name, but and then the Samara culture. So there's no like amazing anything. It's just if you look on a map of the cultures all together, it's like this, and then it's like this, and then it's like this. I mean, there's nothing. It looks like like evolution.
Yeah. It's just one building on top of the other on top of the other.
Yes, it just kept growing. That's all.
Yeah.
It's space. But anyway, so and they know for sure the last ones had carts, and the last ones basically invaded all Europe, and that's why all Europe looks close to the same now, you and me included, because we're related to Yama more than likely.
Okay.
It's not the only way to get light skin, but it's one of the main ways.
Right.
It happened.
Okay.
Because they're basically R1B. So if you're R1B, you're Yama. And then some people call it North Yama, which was R1A, which is the Russians, the Poles, the Estonians, Finns, whatever. Those
Okay.
That kind of DNA is generally R1A. And R1A was related with the corded world culture, which basically was in Germany and Denmark and Sweden and Norway, and which became the Nordic Bronze Age and the Nordic religions from all that. So, but anyways, it goes back to the same thing. It's like we know what these people were doing. We know that, and they did have effect and spread their ideas. I mean, that's why Graham Hancock stuff is it's fucking foolish.
Yeah.
It's like someone saying they're going to debate the Jolly Green Giant with me.
Right.
Like, the fuck?
This is not productive.
So I that's why, but
Except,
also,
except it's also, yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I also see why it can be massively frustrating for archaeologists or historians to listen to people that fucking talk that shit. It's irritating to me, and I'm not even, exactly like them.
Right.
But I so know the truth. It's just like it's fucking foolish. It's just it sounds like a child. His ideas are stupid as fuck. How's that? Totally unscientific, totally not rational or skeptic. I mean, it's just horrid. I'm just saying. He can't say he's a rationalist. Fuck no. Oh, hell, fuck no. And he can't say he's a skeptic either. Fuck no. So he's just a fucking blind, faithless, drunk believer.
Yeah.
That's the best way to explain it. He just, But to take that serious, or science has to take that serious, dude, you are a joke.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing, too, just like what we talked about before. Like, say I could probably debate someone pretty good on religion. Right. But maybe you couldn't. But you now know what the fucking truth is. The fact that you can't defend it doesn't mean you don't know the truth.
Right.
Or that you're not right and they're fucking wrong.
Yeah, that's often, I find, like, the attitude online. It's all about debates and stuff, and I don't find that terribly productive in general. A particular debate might be productive, but that's not to say that all people need to always debate every point that they know is true.
Right. Well, and sometimes if someone said, well, there's no way that any of this stuff is connected, the pyramids or anything, that's just foolishness. Now you could say, well, I think you need to go watch that video.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Because that's wrong.
Yeah.
It's wrong to think of the way they're connected, like Graham Hancock or ancient aliens, because those are absolutely bullshit. But if you look down to like I have, at which people, because I'm not guessing. I go, well, some ancient culture went to South America. I'm like, QYDNA. It got there 8,000 years ago in Brazil. It immediately built a shell pyramid immediately. And then it proceeded to tell about another, 4,000 years, making the entire coast shell mounds.
Yeah.
Like, anyways. And it became language, which one of these times we'll talk about that too. But I want to get to everything. There's just the big world, lots of facts. So let's keep going.
For sure. So where was I? 4,700 to 3,800 BCE. That's the Khvalynsk, or 6,700 to 5,800 years ago, with the first full Kurgans. Khvalynsk evidences the further development of the Kurgan. It began in the Samara with individual graves or small groups, sometimes under stone. A male sample carried Y haplogroup R1b1a1a and mitochondrial haplogroup U5A1D.
Right. So we now can say, hey, look, Graham, now that's a person with R.
Yeah, that's right.
Problem is, he's not in the Americas.
I was just going to say that. Except he's not over where you say they're supposed to be.
Yeah, he's in Ukraine. So if that's what you mean, then yeah, sure, I'll agree.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Or Russia. If you saying that, the thing is, it can't remember now. He's Russia or Ukraine, whatever. So he's over there somewhere.
Right.
Well, the point though is, he's certainly not fucking in the Americas. You know what I'm saying? Well, you have to be willing, open-minded. No, I do not.
We're
Yeah.
open-minded to the evidence,
There,
of which he
now
has
that-
none.
Yes. And then when you say, well, I don't have any. I like that one guy said to me, online, but that's unfair, Damien. You're saying that did that, but he didn't say that as in general. He just said that for underwater archaeology, there's no evidence. I said, well, you know what? It is him to actually find the evidence. I can give you 2 underwater that relates to me. In fact, one of them even has a Mound of Creation with a floating moat.
Yeah.
Surrounded by a Stonehenge.
Right.
Showing it's all connected.
Yeah.
It's probably an Axis Mundi. Like I said, I think those things are like an Axis Mundi. And I think that a lot of things can happen there. I think they could have, because I don't think that how we think of stuff is so limited. Like once again, the Axis Mundi can be a tree, a mountain, a fig, a thing at the pole, whatever. A ladder, or what once a road, once like follow the yellow brick road, once you start grasping it, what's going on, I think it helps because you're hearing the same song. Okay, I'm hearing it now.
Yeah, for sure.
Not fantasy doing it like Graham Hancock, but actually hearing it. So, anyways, go ahead and read where it says, although the disparities in wealth.
All right. So, although there are disparities in the wealth of the Kvalinsk grave goods, there seems to be no special marker for the chief. This deficit does not exclude the possibility of a chief. In the later Kurgans, one finds that the Kurgan is exclusively reserved for a chief and his retinue, with ordinary people excluded. The development of the Kvalinsk culture suggests a growing disparity of wealth, which in turn implies a growth in the wealth of the whole community, and an increase in population. The explosion of the Kurgan culture out of its western steppe homeland must be associated with an expansion of population. The causes of this success and expansion remain obscure.
Right. But if you said he was a petty Borgias and that they're, taking the labor of others and that's how they do it.
Yeah.
Centralizing wealth.
For sure.
Because I know some places they would do that. They would give it all to the king and then he was supposed to give it back.
Right.
Kind of like what people play foolish government now with. We give all our money and then they keep giving bombs to bomb children.
Yeah.
Not doing, and then they tell us they can't help us.
Yeah.
Like,
can't fund education.
We have to keep this government.
Can't have universal health care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking ridiculous.
Somehow have lots of money to fucking send arms over to commit a genocide.
Terrible. But it's fucking terrible. Anyway. Yeah. So, but this also is like it goes back to what I said, right? Did I not say that every time I see a mound, a pyramid, a kurgan, a dolmen, I know it is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's about elites.
Yeah, it's got religious implications and it's about hierarchy.
Exactly. So as an anarchist, we should all know this. Every time you see these things, this is what it means.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a better way to understand it universally than the Graham Hancock bullshit, which is a misrepresentation of history. Yeah. And anyway, so it goes down. It says that this culture primarily carried haplogroup R1b. Yeah. And see, though it says it has a few R1a and it has I, which I told you was dark skin. Right. And it has Q, which is native. And it has J, which is Middle Eastern, meaning they had some of the Cossack mountain, because that J comes in a sense from the Cossack mountains or relates to it. Because then the next thing it says, right, so they have Cossack hunter-gatherer. Right. But see, a Q too, so they have the people from Yeniseian.
Okay.
Anyways, just to show you, so we don't need to guess. Like the Graham Hancock, there's this ancient. I can show you the DNA, tell you who exactly what it was, what they're doing, why.
Right, where it came from, where it went.
Yeah. Every detail in between.
Yeah.
There we go to the next culture. This is the Yana culture, whatever. Yamana.
So yeah, among the later 3300 to 2600 BCE or 5300 to 4600 years ago, Yamnaya culture, who is related to the main Kurgans hypothesis, males carry exclusively R1b and I2.
Right, and I2 is the darker skin. So do you know that these people can't be totally racist? I mean, I think they eventually were, but kind of, but it still exactly can't be exactly race. It could be that they're okay with a certain clan friend, in a sense. So you get what I'm saying? It could have been clan related more, why it happened.
Right.
So I do think that there could be some racism too. But I'm saying is because that I don't know when I started getting lighter skin, but it definitely comes out of the Middle East into Europe, dark skin.
Okay.
Like I said, that's the blonde eye, blonde eye, blue eye, and dark
blonde
skin.
eyes would be cool,
Yeah,
man.
But you get what I'm saying. So once again, we know who these people are. So when they're like guessing and stuff,
yeah, for sure.
And what I was just saying is these are two things, because one in a sense is they're both in the Middle East, but one is from the Middle East in a sense 8,000 years ago, the R1b, and then the I2A, it could be up to 14 to 20,000 years old from the Middle East.
Right.
But actually I comes from the Cossack Mountains, I believe, or something. But anyways, you see also, what does it say? What were these people? They were with chieftain system.
Right.
Right. So Damien is not making this up, that all this is and then you have, and I think there probably was chieftains at Hongshan.
Right.
Because once you realize all these pyramid people are chieftains and kings and whatever, or elites, hierarchy for sure, then you understand.
Right. Then it just moves on. Yeah. So then every culture you can look at.
Exactly. Yes. And how do I know for sure? I have looked at them all. And I'm trying to show you that too.
Yeah.
So archaeologists discovered 5,000-year-old jade dragon in the largest tomb, right, known in the mountain in Mongolia, right? Yeah, because they put a tomb on top of a mountain. Yeah, because it's not about mountains.
Right.
And then it's linked to the Hongshan culture. Oh yeah, because they made those dragons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, so you start to see I'm correct, right? Then the other one is a 28,000-year-old burial mound in Siberia that's similar but earlier than the Scythians, which are considered the burial tradition, lasted for hundreds of years. So it comes from Siberia again, of course,
right?
Because that wasn't the first time. So, anyways, I'm gonna go down to where it says Primordial Mound. Can you read that?
Or primeval mound?
Yeah.
The mastabas of the early dynasties had within them a development of the primeval mound, the place of original creation in Zep Tepe. The first time, an embryonic stepped structure concealed inside the internal fabric of the building. It was almost inevitable, therefore, that later generations should express their creative spirit in the shape of pure focus, colossal with surging upwards, resting with absolute confidence on the earth, immovable but expressing that reaching out for the firmament and beyond it, to the realm of the...
Pause for a second. So in other words, like a firmament, like going up, right, which they see as a pole or a dick, like the Hindu lingam. It's or a mound coming, or a mountain, or a tree.
Right.
But because this is the thing I think was hard for people. It's not really about the mountain. The mountain is a reference to something else. It's not really about the tree. The tree is a reference to something else.
Right. Yeah.
Like there's a saying, right? So some people could say the tree of life is actually the bones in your body.
Right.
Right. So it's a metaphor. It's not a real tree. See what I'm saying? So when even if they draw a tree, well, they don't really mean a tree to limit your thinking to a tree.
Right. Like, even if I say one culture calls it a tree, like another culture is going to call it something else, and it still means the same
like
thing.
Asher
right?
poles. They worship the Asher pole. It's
So
still
stop.
the Axis Monday.
Don't get so hung up on the details and focus on it.
Well, because you're going, wait, I hear the same old song.
Yeah.
Once you start understanding why they're doing it, why are they doing it? It's like I said a long time ago, unlike Graham Hancock, I didn't just go, oh, I know why they did it. I said, why did they do it?
Right.
And what would it take to make a person back then do something?
Right.
Will it be force, or it would be a story like religion?
Right.
Or maybe both. And it looks like both.
Yeah. That's right.
Keep reading.
So, and beyond it to the realm of the imperishable stars, which is so typical of the spirit of early Egypt. It would have been more extraordinary, perhaps, if the Egyptians had not produced so perfect a shape as the pyramid at this particular point in their development. They did so sets the final seal on their achievement. After that expression of creative energy, it was only to be expected that decline would inevitably follow. It was not a performance that could ever be repeated, nor one that could ever even be sustained. Indeed, it may be argued that it could not be matched. The pyramid.
Hold on a second. I know they want to be fanciful.
Yeah.
The reason kings fall because they should.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's usually not because they reach this pinnacle of achievement. It's usually like resource based, or a superior culture came and dominated them, or like there's a variety of things going on.
I'm just saying, sometimes people say things you go, that's just bullshit.
Yeah, that's right. You're writing a nice story here, but come on.
You were doing well.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. The pyramid, the supreme artifact of the age, which was now approaching, represented in stone the summation of all that early Egypt was seeking to express. In every aspect of life, particularly those which touched the king in any way, the early builders of the Egyptian state were attempting to reconcile the cosmic with the human, to identify their society with concepts which otherwise defied articulation. The Egyptians possessed an exceptional ability to synthesize complex propositions and penetrating perceptions in symbol and in expressions of the form and content of buildings. Often such synthesis was occluded. An example which is pertinent to the origins of the step pyramid is the terraced mound, whose origins lie in the little pile of sand raised above the Badarian grave. The mound signifies the primeval hill, the mound of creation on which the creator god settled himself when it first appeared above or out of the waters of the abyss, on which he performed the first acts which inaugurated the cycle of creation itself. The most spectacular manifestations of the terraced mound are the step pyramid and its companions in other parts of the valley.
Pause for a second. So, when people say, I wonder why they made the pyramid, and when Damien says it's because of the mythological belief of the Axis Mundi and the Mound of Creation,
yeah,
Corey would now say what?
Yeah, of course.
Like, that is the fucking answer.
Yeah, for sure.
How do we know that? The Egyptians said so. That's fucking why.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
What is wrong with the? I don't know. Let's listen to them. How about we don't fucking have to guess when they actually tell us?
Yeah, that's right. When people tell you things, you can believe them generally.
Well, especially if we're talking about bullshit myths.
Yeah, that's right. They're talking about their beliefs. There's no reason for them to say something else. Oh no, we're tricking the future.
Or the Graham Hancock will say that somehow I've even seeded the myths in ancient Egypt to match my thinking.
Yeah, right, eh? Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
No, it's called I looked really hard, and because of seeing, like I told you, the whole world.
Yeah.
And throughout all time, it gives you a much better perspective to assess things.
Yeah.
Anyways, keep going.
All right. The terraced mound would have had powerful mystical appeal both to Imhotep and to his master. By means of it, Netjerket is able to Jerdiket is able to mount to the stars. Also, it permits the king to fulfill the role of the creator god on his mound in the perpetual renewal of the life of Egypt, which the whole complex at Saqqara encompasses. The terraced
Oh, what
mound,
was that? The whole complex is all about what Damien thinks?
it's all about the
Oh
perpetual
my God.
renewal. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Not only am
So,
I right about the pyramids themselves, the whole complex is also doing that.
yeah, that's right.
No, I'm so right. I'm even more right than I was trying for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the terraced mound evidently meant something of profound importance to the powers of the Third Dynasty, and so far as we can judge, particularly to them. Their successors of the Fourth Dynasty began at once to break away from the stepped form in the experimental structures which King Snerfu developed at Dashur and Medum, which achieved their consummation in the pyramids which his successors raised on the plateau at Giza. There is still more numinous form in the terraced mound, which is from much earlier times, which is in a quite literal sense even more occult. Hidden in the core of the brick enclosed rubble superstructures of several of the large First Dynasty mastabas at Saqqara is buried, as though waiting for its ultimate liberation or rebirth in the soaring terraces of the Third Dynasty pyramids. The terraced mound is to be found in all periods of Egyptian history, even in the latest, most decadent days.
Pause for a second. We'll keep going. So we'll cut that because it's getting late. We'll cut the rest of that right and let's go next picture.
Okay.
But so it was always the case.
Yeah.
So am I right, Corey? It was always the case, and it had to do with everything they did like that.
Yeah, it's almost like
it's almost like that's the answer.
Yeah, it's almost like that's the answer. Why did they build the pyramids? Their religious beliefs.
Of Mound of Creation and Axis Mundi.
Yeah.
Let's go down to the next picture.
Okay.
Real quick, we'll look at this one because we're going to keep going faster. This is the first pyramid, number 3. We already said it before.
Yep.
And we'll talk about it more distinctly in pyramids. Number 2 is a ziggurat. And then number 1 is a kurgan, just to show you what they're kind of doing.
Okay.
Anyways, we're going to go down. We're done with that.
Okay.
And go ahead and read ziggurat step pyramid like mound.
Ziggurat step pyramid like mound. A ziggurat, to protrude or build high, cognate with other Semitic languages like Hebrew protrude, is a type of massive structure built in ancient Mesopotamia. Anu ziggurat and White Temple at Uruk. The original pyramidal structure, the Anu ziggurat, dates to the Sumerians around 4000 BCE or about 6,000 years ago, and the White Temple was built on top of it circa 3500 BCE or 5500 years ago. The word ziggurat comes from zigguratum, height pinnacle. In ancient Assyrian, from zakarum, to be high up. Ziggurats were built by ancient Sumerians, Akkadians, Elamites, Eblates, and Babylonians for local religions.
Pause for a second. So a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I can give you my theory, right? We already did. It's the Mound of Creation. I know it's crazy. It's the Mound of Creation and the Axis Mundi.
Yeah.
And every one of those, every time they built these things, they all did it for a similar reason.
Right.
Crazy. But that's because it's culture.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Each ziggurat was part of a temple complex with other buildings. Before the ziggurats, there were raised platforms that date from the Ubaid period during the 6th millennium BCE. The ziggurats began as platforms, usually oval, rectangular, or square. The ziggurat was
Pause for a second. You mean like the Americas?
Yeah, very similar to the other ones.
Platforms? You mean like the Mississippi culture? Like
Yeah.
the first picture you looked at? You mean those kind of raised platforms with things on top?
Yeah.
Oh, so you mean almost the same thing. Okay, just checking.
Yeah.
Oh, and those were also the Mound of Creation, of course. Oh,
right. Yeah.
Oh, so all of this is
It's all very similar. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, got it. All right. Keep going.
The ziggurat was a mastaba-like structure with a flat top.
And pause for a second. A mastaba is what the before the pyramids.
Yeah.
And the first step pyramid has 2 or 3 mastabas in it.
Right.
So yeah.
So this is like that. And also like the mounds. And also
like the Americas. And then holy shit. Like this shit is all and they all think the Mound of Creation or something close to it. Holy shit.
And the Sumerians believed that the gods lived in the temple at the top of the ziggurats.
You're getting this, right?
Yeah.
So guess who also is elites? The hierarchy. They live. The king, the elites, his elite family or whatever, chieftains, or the religious people, they all live on top of these platform things. So once again, it is literally almost the same thing. Everything starts in platform mounds and then later becomes pyramids.
Yeah.
But I know it's crazy, but yeah. Oh, they evolve. Oh, so it wasn't just given knowledge of pyramids, Graham Hancock.
Yeah.
That's not what the evidence shows. Not even close.
Not even close.
The exact opposite.
Yeah.
Literally starts as dirt mounds with flat tops, and then it becomes something more, and then they put bricks in or whatever, and then they start building, small little, step pyramids, and then pointed pyramids. Yeah. Because it evolved. No one taught these fucking people. Like they may have given them a couple ideas as the cultures that, of course, the arrows on the maps that I'm showing.
Right. Yeah.
Not whatever fucking seafaring bullshit, fantasy land, Atlanteans or whatever nonsense.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then a mastaba, go ahead and read that. Mastaba is type of Egyptian flat-roofed rectangular structure. Right.
Yep. With inward sloping sides, constructed out of mud bricks or limestone, these edifices marked the burial sites of many eminent Egyptians during Egypt's early dynastic period and Old Kingdom. Non-royal use of mastabas continued for over 1,000 years. The word mastaba comes from the Arabic word mastaba, or stone bench. The ancient Egyptian name was Perjit, meaning house of stability, or house of eternity, or eternal house. The term mastaba comes from the Arabic word for bench of mud. When seen from a distance, a flat-topped mastaba does resemble a bench. Historians speculate that the Egyptians may have borrowed architectural ideas from Mesopotamia, since at the time they were both building similar structures.
Oh, wait a minute. Isn't that what I said? Isn't that what the arrows on my map? It's almost like my ideas are matching the facts.
Yeah, that's right. People who study this also agree with Damien.
Yeah, crazy. I know.
Yeah.
Well, because I studied first and then I came up with ideas.
Right.
Not just looked at stuff and go, you know what? I think I know.
I'm going to prove that all religions are the same.
No. Well, I remember, like I said, it's not what I teach is correct. It's not like Zeitgeist that says everything is about the sun. Everything is not about the sun.
Yeah.
We're going to do Skyfather and it'll be about the sun. And there definitely is stuff about the sun, but to say everything, it's not even the biggest.
Right.
I mean, we talk about a lot of connections and we're not using that.
Yeah, that's right, eh?
I'm just making a comment that, like, some people, yes, it's connected, but not as simple and that's not like you can just learn one thing. It's not like monotheism. Like you just learn Jesus and you're good.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's way the hell more complicated than that.
Yeah, that's right.
But so let's just skip this. Let's go down to the picture.
Okay.
So the picture is about the Mound of Creation, and it's showing the gods standing on top of it, and then the water is that female goddess thing.
Right. That's cool.
And see, she means the personification. Once again, it's not the actual thing. It's a symbolism of.
Yeah, it's an
Which is
avatar.
why,
Yeah.
well, I keep saying that because I think that helps. Well, I would think it does to understand why even if there's a penis, it doesn't mean sex.
Right.
Or the mound doesn't have to be, the same thing either, like a breast or a pregnant woman or whatever. But it doesn't. But what they're trying to reference is the mound, not
Right.
how they're referencing it. So that's why I'm saying I think that it's distracting when people think that it has to be the same thing.
Right.
No, it has to be relating to the same thing. It's like if I used I use different ways of explaining that one thing relates to another, or different stuff.
Yeah.
Like if I say, like I said, the Jolly Green Giant belief. If someone says, I have to believe in God, well, it's like someone saying I have to believe in Jolly Green Giant. How much energy do I want to fucking put into debunking that when their belief is absolutely foolish? And
Yeah, not that much.
Well, and especially with all I know, but you understand it's foolish only because of reference of what I know.
Yeah.
If you didn't have any reference of what I know, do you see what I'm saying? So I'm saying is that reference of things helps grasp concepts.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So the same thing, just like once you see the anarchist symbol, you can assume, especially if it's red, not fucking yellow or whatever.
Right.
You can assume certain things because how else can you say that you're part of that if you're not?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, what I mean is that basically, social anarchism or socialist anarchism type of anarchism, which to me should be what kind of anarchist would look at the world and go, yeah, I'm not going to be part of it. Like, that's like, that reminds me, that's like saying, well, I don't have to do anything about climate change because, it's the whole world.
Yeah.
Like, yes, we all should do it. That's the exact, see, that's why I think like anarchist to me. It's the exact opposite. Of course we should all do it. What the fuck?
Yeah.
If not us, who?
Well, in the system as it is now,
yeah.
I mean, who's going to do it anyway? Like, yeah, we can do our thing, but then they'll send a rocket up into space because Elon Musk has the money to do that, and there's no rules against it apparently.
Well, and there absolutely should be. Like I said, he blew out in one thing like 4 years of the whole Earth. Yeah. Everybody, we all could have just smoked or done whatever, burned, plastic or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, that's right.
And here one asshole fucking takes 10 seconds up in space and it literally blasts the Earth with enough fucking, garbage that, it was like the whole Earth, could have waited for years. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah, it's absurd.
Yeah, so I'm fucking against that shit. But anyway, so the Bowden Stone too, that pyramid thing is the mound that comes out of the water. Which once you understand all the other stuff, you start to understand. Yeah, see, it says in the creation myth
of the in the creation myth of the Heliopolitan form of the ancient Egyptian religion, Benben was the mound that arose from the primordial waters upon which the creator deity Atum settled. The Benben stone pyramidion is the top stone of the pyramid.
Right. So it definitely means something. It's literally the top ornament of the entire thing. And you're like, oh yeah, it can't mean anything. It literally is about the Mound of Creation.
Yeah, it's the mound that's outside of the primordial waters. Like that's what it means.
You get it right. It's not that complicated, but yeah. So anyways, go down to the next thing. So it says Mound of Creation, Egyptian temples.
Mound of Creation. Ancient Egyptian temples were not just homes for the gods, they were also replicas of the universe and at the moment of creation. A model of the universe. Ancient Egyptian temples were not just homes for the gods, they were also replicas of the universe at moments of creation. In Egyptian mythology, the universe emerged from a vast cosmic ocean of nothingness. For countless eons, the creator sun god Atum had drifted asleep in his primordial sea, which the Egyptians called Nun. Eventually, the creator god awoke and willed a small island to emerge out of the cosmic sea. From atop this hill, which the Egyptians called the Mound of the First Event, Atum proceeded to call all things into existence, starting with the male god Shu, the air, and the goddess Tefnut, moisture. Next came a third generation of deities in the form of the male earth god Geb and the sky goddess Nut. After further generations, every feature of nature was born, each with a god or goddess to govern it. Egyptian temples were replicas of this early universe with inner sanctuaries representing the primeval hill. As visitors moved from the outer courts through the hypostyles hall and into the Holy of Holies, the floor level gradually rose while the ceilings became lower. It also became darker as the often roofed courts and hypostyle halls with their clerestory windows gave way to dark inner chambers with just one small light shaft in the inner chapel to eliminate the god's cult statue. The confined and shadowy atmosphere transported the visitors privileged enough to see the god in his home back to the very beginning of time, but just a few priests and the pharaoh himself could enter the Holy of Holies. With this sacred model of space and time, a hypostyle hall mimicked a thicket of papyrus reeds that grew in the swampy edges of the primeval mound.
Right, and like I showed you before, that one that was off the Israelite close of Haifa area or wherever was that Stonehenge thing with a moat with reeds in it.
Yeah.
It's 9,000 years old. You're like, wow. And those people's ideas went down to Egypt. So, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Maybe, just maybe, there's a connection to mounds. I don't know.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
I think you're probably more sure of it than you've ever been before.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for sure.
He says ancient Egypt still buried. This is they haven't excavated this yet. 4,000 years old. Mound of Creation.
Still buried Mound of Creation, an extremely well-preserved tomb at Saqqara near Cairo. It belonged to a high priestess called Wati and is more than 4,000 years old.
Yeah. And then I also talk about the lingam, the next thing.
So the Akhil-Andeshwari and the lingam, or pillar-like mound symbol of Shiva, pseudo-male sex organ made of stone, metal, gem, wood, or clay, and Mound of Creation like. One of the main forms of the Hindu goddess Adi Parashakti, the goddess's name is split into three components. Akila means the universe, Anda means cosmic egg, and Ishwari means the divine mother. Therefore, goddess, the divine mother who protects the entire universe in her womb, or cosmic egg. Once Parvati mocked Shiva's penance for the betterment of the world, Shiva wanted to condemn her act and directed her to go to the earth from Mount Kailash, Shiva's abode, to do penance. Parvati in the form of...
Pause for a second. So the mountain, the sacred mountain, that's her abode.
Right.
Right. So she lives there. That's her house.
Yeah.
Right. So you just we'll go ahead and go down further. We'll go down to, because I don't want to go down to the picture. This is a Yoni being worshipped in India.
Ah, okay.
Or lingam, I'm sorry. The Yoni is the bottom part, and lingams is the thing that stick to the mound.
Ah.
But do you see how, and then they put water on it, and this person has it in water.
Right.
Right. So you can see that the mound, that's supposed to be Shiva's, in a sense, penis, but it looks a lot more like a mound.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And especially after you've taken Damien's course of what the fuck a mound is and why people all over the world build them.
Yeah.
And you grasp it's really about the Axis Mundi and the Mound of Creation. When you understand that, same old song.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I know at first when I'm saying this stuff, if you're not aware of all this, it can seem like, oh, and we're not going to read all that. Let's keep it, but it of course proves me. So go ahead and look at the next picture real quick. The one that has a mound of all dead bodies.
Oh, yep.
It's a Mound of Creation and relates to another god of Samaria, and she's sitting on the mound also.
Yep.
Right?
Okay.
Okay. So go ahead and we'll skip all the way to the bottom. I want this anarchism stuff real quick.
Okay.
Because I had a picture of capitalism and then the workers' pay being held, or in a sense, and then how I think Egypt relates to feudalism and capitalism. How I don't think again, same old song. And then I say, the need for social justice is nothing new. Good, read
that. Yeah. Nanchi, Sumerian, 4000 to 3100 BCE, also known as Proto-Literate period, was a Mesopotamian goddess in various contexts associated with social justice and social welfare. Damien does not make art to demonstrate Damien's highest skill as an artist. No, Damien's art is Damien's favorite way to do activism. Damien makes art for reason and evidence, not if Damien thinks people will think it's trying to be artistic. Damien wants to help make a difference in the world, and Damien's art helps this. But is Atlantis real? No, Atlantis, an allegory or face story interpreted to reveal a hidden meaning, can't be found in any more than one can locate the jolly green giant that is said to watch over frozen vegetables.
Right, and then I showed you that thing that says to be left wing, you have to read and think a lot. I think you have to do that to follow my videos. And then to be right wing, all you have to do is be proud of your own ignorance.
Yeah.
And then I say, may reason set you free.
There are a lot of truly great things said by anarchists in history, and also by some deeply vile things too. From not supporting women's rights to anti-Semitism, there are those who also reject those supporting women's rights, as well as those who fight anti-Semitism. This is why I push reason as my only master, not anarchist thinking. Though anarchism to me should see all humans everywhere as equal in dignity and human and rights. We, Corey and Damien, are following the greatness that can be found in anarchist thinking. As an anarchist educator, Damien strives to teach the plain truth. Damien does not support violence as my method to change. Rather, I choose education that builds enlightenment and empowerment. I champion dignity and equality. We rise by helping each other. What is the price of a tear? What is the cost of a smile? How can we see clearly when others pay the cost of our indifference and fear? We should help people in need. Why is that so hard for some people? Rich ghouls must end. Damien wants billionaires to stop being a thing. Tax them into equality. To Damien, there is no debate. Capitalism is unethical. Moreover, as an anarchist educator, Damien knows violence is not the way to inspire lasting positive change. But we are not limited to violence. We have education, one of the most lasting and powerful ways to improve the world. We empower the world by championing truth and its supporters. Anarchism and education. Various alternatives to education and their problems have been proposed by anarchists, which have gone from alternative education systems and environments, self-education, advocacy of youth and children's rights, and free thought activism. Historical accounts of anarchist educational experiments to explore how their pedagogical practices, organization, and content constituted a radical alternative to mainstream forms of educational provision in different historical periods. And the Foray School was an early 20th century libertarian school inspired by the anarchist pedagogy of Francisco Freire. He was a proponent of rationalist secular education that emphasized reason, dignity, self-reliance, and scientific observation. The Foray movement's philosophy had two distinct tendencies: non-didactic freedom from dogma and the more didactic fostering of counter-hegemonic beliefs, towards a non-didactic freedom from dogma, and fulfilled the child-centered tradition.
Yep. And then those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Those who prevent history being fully taught will try to repeat it.
Yep.
And then to me, teaching real history, all of our lives depend on it. So we should support real archaeology and reject pseudo-archaeology.
Yeah.
And then you can read the last thing, Damien.
Damien sees lies about history as crimes against humanity. We must all help humanity by addressing any and all who make harmful lies about history.
That's it. Thank you.
All right.
Go ahead and tell us what to find your stuff and what you do.
It's the Skeptical Leftist podcast. I'm on YouTube and all podcast apps, and on Substack. If you want to check that out, it's I do some extra writing there, and if you want to support me, you can find all my links on the link tree that is under my name here. It's linktree/skeptical leftist. So,
right on. Well, I thank you and appreciate your time and helping out. And also, when we get done with the pyramids, then we're going to do a live chat on Corey's show, The Skeptical Leftist. And then I'm not going to have a script or anything. We're just you can ask questions, or we'll just talk about whatever about all these videos or what you've learned or whatever.
Sounds
or
good.
Any questions people have. That's why I want to do it live.
For sure.
Right on.
All right.
All right. Take care.
Talk to you later.
Hello, and welcome to my channel. I am Damien Marie AtHope. In the simplest terms, I am an atheist-humanist philosopher and prehistorical writer-researcher at DamienMarieAtHope.com. I am specifically an axiological atheist. An axiological atheism can be thought to involve ethical and value theory reasoned and moral argument driven apatheism, agnosticism, atheism, anti-theism, anti-religionism, secularism, and humanism. Axiological atheists can be understood as a value theory or a value science atheist. As an axiological atheism's ethically reasoned and constructive pro-humanity. I am an axiological thinker, value theorist. The science of goodness, worthiness, usefulness, valuableness, virtue, reliableness, accuracy, validity, morality, integrity, beneficialness, etc., etc. We axiologists have a value consciousness. And in general, we see the architecture of humanistic humanitarianism value in people that we see as dignity beings. Places and things are not. Axiology is a value theory. In its broadest sense, it involves areas of philosophy that are deemed to encompass some evaluative or evaluation aspect. Therefore, it crosses almost all domains in some way or another. Now for a more detailed terms as to what I am. I am an axiological atheist, an anti-theist, an anti-religionist, secularist, humanist, rationalist, writer, artist, poet, philosopher, advocate, activist with schooling in psychology, sociology, as well as I am an autodidact, self-taught in science, archaeology, anthropology, and philosophy. I promote science and am against pseudoscience, pseudo-history, pseudo-morality, things that are found in religion.